Where would you rather live, Rachel? In a swampy bungalow on Yavin, surrounded by giant boar beasts, in a vaguely European city of Gorman, on the verge of collapse, both like politically but also physically, or living in Coruscant, with the ISB constantly surveilling you.
Mon Mothma's apartment with Perrin is my trophy husband. That's the option. That's the choice. We'll make it work.
See, he kind of feels like the worst kind of trophy husband because he doesn't think that he's a trophy husband.
Do you know him personally?
No, I don't know any of these characters personally. I'm making an assessment based on his behavior in the show. He seems to think of himself fairly highly. He doesn't recognize 100%. Ain't no one. She's a senator. She's like one of those important senators in the galaxy among like hundreds of, if not thousands of members of the Galactic Senate. Do we even know what his like occupation is? I don't think so.
House husband.
Star Wars, Transformers, Godzilla, animation, whatever else. Rebels, robots, and etc.
It's Wednesday, my dudes, and that means it's Starformers Night. Welcome to Rebels and Robots, etc. Episode 78. I'm Cameron.
I'm Rachel.
And this is our weekly chat about Star Wars as we go through month door. And also we talk about Transformers and whatever else. And Athena. I mean, Kat, we have our editor, Athena. Our assistant editor, Peanut, who's not in the room. He just kind of provides moral support as
he's the coffee run intern.
Yes, 100%. And he comes back with no coffee. We're going through month door. This is week 3. We're over halfway through month door. We're
75% through.
And we have a wild one to talk about today. It feels like 2 arcs almost.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 episodes, the end of the second episode felt like the end of an arc, and then the third episode feels like its own arc. So we got a lot going on this week. But before we get there, news, woos and boos, the section where we talk about recent thoughts and news, whatever's going on since the last episode, and we rate them woo or boo. I don't have any news at all, so go for it.
I've got like 3 very boring. Well, I've got 2 boring ones and 3 and one that's not as boring. Our local state law enforcement department posted for May the 4th be with you.
Oh my God.
With a super edited SUV with like lightsaber lights. Yeah. Anyways,
not to dox anyone, but not many people. Do you follow that account?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, not many people follow their state highway account. I know why you do. Because you know someone who works for that.
It's funny.
That is great.
That's also how I find out about a lot of the road closures around us.
Where I work, we have these lights for a stage. They're like vertical. They're called pixel lights, I think. Pixel lights. But people often call them lightsaber lights. And my coworker commented today that we missed a chance to make a May the 4th joke with those.
You did.
Totally missed it.
Totally missed it.
And man, who knows the next time we'll have a chance. I mean, like, where I work, Sundays are very relevant to what we do.
I thought this was you saying you were going to quit by next
No, what I'm saying is like when is the next time May the 4th will be on a Sunday? I guess I can just Google search that.
It's like 25 years.
2042. Is that serious? Let me see if I'm reading that correctly.
We're going to be lucky if we're still around that time. Let alone the podcast.
Yeah, really. May 2031, which that makes sense. Okay. What so that news that gets a woo. That's fun. Local related stuff. That's fun.
Maybe it gets a wee woo.
Very good.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
And that's done.
No, my second piece of news is that Godzilla -1 has become the
I saved this, but
It's
it's a
got-
meme.
Oh, well, should I save it?
No, go for it.
Okay.
Go for it. That's fine.
It's gotten its way to the 19th spot on the Rotten Tomatoes Best Movies of All Time guide. So that's fun.
But I saw this because the official Godzilla Toho Instagram shared this. But it's just
Yes.
a graphic that said 19th best
19
movie of all time.
Yes.
And I assumed this was a fan account. And the fact that I don't think that's the right way to go about promoting this fact. Like, you should say, like, we're now in the top 20, but saying 19th best movie of all time doesn't sound that impressive. It is, but I think you need to phrase it differently. Like, I think if you said, like, top 20, that would make it seem like you're now grouped with the top 20s. Saying 19th, this makes it sound like, well, you're not as good as the other 18 above you. That's such a funny way to announce that. It's funny that you had it in news and I had it in
Booze.
in memes. But all still rated a woo because it's hilarious. This is not. Oh yeah, I meant to actually have this in this section. The official Star Wars and Andor Instagram accounts have been sharing, like, as episodes come out, like, art reflecting the newer episodes. This bit of art of Cyril,
Beautiful. I wanted to send it to you last night.
it's
but you
so
hadn't,
good.
you know.
Yeah, it's Cyril, like, amongst the fire and the wreckage on Gorman, which we'll get to in a while. It's so good.
I was tweeting up a storm yesterday. I was very amused. And I sent you a very funny meme that you didn't respond to, which is most memes.
Sent it over where?
Text.
Well, then we'll wait for me a minute to do it, I suppose.
Fine. Okay. Well, the
Oh, like, you made it. I didn't really get it. Is it referencing a song?
it's a Righteous Gemstones joke.
Oh, see, that's
One of
why
their
I
songs.
didn't understand it.
So
That gets a boo.
well, the third most important piece of news that I have is for Kendall and Kendall only. This is for you. This is your time to shine and listen. I actually have.
We got it's Toy Corner.
It's Toy Corner.
Friends.
Ezra Bridger's my favorite Jedi, so I bought the pretty affectionately known as Moses Ezra Bridger Funko Pop. The reason I don't buy Funko Pops very often, but I hadn't bought any for a while, and these were super on sale on May the 4th, and I went, oh boy,
nice.
I've got $10 to throw away. They live in my office. My Funkos live in my office.
Fun.
My favorite children, the Black Series, live in my home office, but these ones go to work with me, and they get to live out of the box. So that's fun. Don't talk about that yet.
We're going to talk about the other Funko.
We're going in order, yes, because this one is the most important Funko that I own. It is the Star Wars Rebels Ezra Bridger, and it comes with the white Loth cat.
That's fun. So are they two separate, or are they
Yes,
together? On
they're
the
two separate,
That's fun.
but they come with a little stand.
Every time a Loth cat meowed on the show, it caught me off guard every time because they have these gigantic mouths, and they don't. They have it's legitimately just a straight up cat, like meow, and it
But
caught
they
me off
don't
guard
make the
every
meow,
time.
like
Yeah, it's not
mouth
meow.
movement. It's
It-
just like a. It's like
That's what it is.
like a
That's
trash
right.
can opening.
Yeah, exactly. You got. They look like Muppets, just making a sound.
Like look at it. Look at that big old mouth.
That big chomper.
So Kendall, I don't care if you care. Sorry, I don't know if you care about Funkos. Almost, I don't care
I
if
think
you
he
care.
does.
So the most important part that I just chastised Cameron to not yell about is probably the last figure I'll buy from the Mandalorian line, unless they come out with something absolutely beautiful. Which I have so many that I'm like, of all the lines that I have the most of, why is it this one? Because I love all the troopers.
Yeah,
The troopers they
uh-huh.
give out. This is Moff Gideon (parentheses dark trooper armor).
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So it's
Let me take a
the
look at that.
let me take a look at that. It's his armor from the 3rd series. It's pretty sick. It looks a lot like some of the Mandalore troopers from Clone Wars.
Is that just a dark saber handle, or what is that?
I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while, Cameron.
Well,
It might
he
say
has-
on the back.
He has an electro staff.
Yes.
But then he has like a handle that I'm not sure what it is.
Let me see.
Because is that no? Because the Mandalorian, because Jin Djarin had the black, or no, it was the girl, the woman. I can't remember her name.
Includes figures and 5 accessories.
It's fun. It's
Normally
weird that it
it
doesn't
says
list
what
them.
they come with.
Yeah.
Prototype is about.
His
Oh.
his electrostaff does take me back though, because the way they have chose to mold the electricity is pretty identical to the way the toys did back in the day for the
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith, the Grievous's bodyguards with their electric staffs. It's just a very similar.
Guard.
Yeah, the way they
Which is getting a re-release in the Black Series.
very cool. Like there's a lot of, I would assume there's a lot of different ways you could communicate electricity through a toy, and just the specific way they've done it is very nostalgic for me.
Yeah, I think it might just be like another staff or a baton. I don't think it's the Darksaber.
Yeah, because it's definitely it's a handle.
Yeah, it's too long. Mm-hmm. It says beaten stick.
I'm not rewatching Mandalorian season 3 to figure that out.
I could look it up. I did. Gosh, I both love and hate Hasbro right now because I just ordered another figure today. It's tough being me.
It's great.
This is from the Andor line though, so.
Well, speaking of Andor, it's Arc 3. We're now at 2 BBY. We're closing in, man.
2
We're
BBY.
closing in on the conclusion of this series, and this one probably feels like it has the biggest jump so far, because
Yeah.
Andor and Bix are living on Yavin, which, if you don't remember, is the location of the Rebel base in the original trilogy, Episode 4. It's the conclusion of the movie takes place at Yavin. The measurement of years, at least on the fandom side of Star Wars, we don't know what they use to measure years in universe at all. But BBY or ABY, before or after the Battle of Yavin, that's the conclusion of Episode 4. We saw it in Episode 2 of this season when Andor was mucking around with the Lord of the Flies kids.
Ugh.
And now the Rebel base is firmly established there, as you expect it to be. He's living in a hut. A very nice. It's very like Disney Tarzan. Like, not the animated one, but the live action one.
Arched doorways.
Wait, no, sorry, not Tarzan. George of the Jungle. That's what I'm thinking of. George of the Jungle
circular
live action movie.
doorways. It's very clean. I was like, they even got the mosquito cloth in their bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And then a hammock for, I'm guessing, woman, because they can just, I don't know, leave him to the mercy of the bugs. I want to know what the bugs are like on Yavin, because I feel like it'd be horrible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if the like local predators are that horrible as we saw in the Arc 1, then the bugs
mosquitoes
gotta be
inside
bad.
of footballs.
There's I showed this last week. So Family Guy back in the day did a parody, an episode long parody of each of the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. And when the Obi-Wan character gives the Luke character a lightsaber, Luke's like, cool! And the Obi-Wan character is like, yeah, everyone in the neighborhood has one. And you see a guy has just put it on his porch as like a bug light.
As a bug zapper.
Yeah. So you could just do that. Just put a lightsaber up.
That would work.
They'd be attracted to it. It would kill them. You wouldn't even have like dead bugs laying around.
Yeah.
They would just be disintegrated. Other big changes. Gorman has gone full revolution. Things are real bad on Gorman. And so I think it's kind of interesting how those are really, at least for the first 2 episodes. Like I said earlier, I don't know how I'm going to edit this episode. I may or may not have actually said this to the listener earlier or not. I may have cut it out. These 3 episodes are very much, it's the first 2 episodes and it's the 3rd episode. Like, they're very distinct from each other. And they are...
And the first episode flew by.
Yeah, not actually. It's interesting how few storylines are actually occurring. When we have the first 3 episodes had like 4 distinct storylines, and now you're really just down to, the first 2 episodes, you're really down to 2.
Yeah.
Because you're not cutting away to Luthen. You cut away to Mon Mothma for like 1 scene, I think. But it's really just Andor and Bix and Deidre and Cyril. And like, obviously those two pairs of characters aren't always together, but it's Gorman and Yavin, and then it's just Gorman. It's really cool. While I think that the build up to the climax of the second episode is not incredible, it is all worth it for the climax. So you have Andor and Bix living in Yavin. I think we can quickly talk about what happened there.
I just wanted to show you, I tweeted this last night. because I couldn't talk to you about it because you hadn't watched
Okay,
it. So I
let's
had
see
to
it.
voice my emotions into the ether. I said, I don't know about y'all, but this is how episodes 7 through 9 had me feeling last night, and it's that picture of Scarlett Johansson with the bob crying.
So at some point in the last year,
Pain.
Andor got shot, and his injury is not healing well. And meanwhile, Willman has been working on Gorman. He comes to visit Andor and Luthen, and Willman comes to visit Andor and Bix, and they have kind of an argument about Luthen. It seems like Andor and Bix have not been working with Luthen.
Yeah, it seems like they've separated from him.
Which really, to me, I don't know, it calls into question my analysis of the ending of the previous episode when Bix and Andor assassinated the
Dr. Gorst.
Yeah, Dr. Gorst, the interrogation scientist. We had assumed that Luthen must have helped with that.
Yeah.
But if they have not been working for a year together, that would assume that maybe not. They did that on their own. And I don't know. It's hard. I'll get to this later.
I don't know what the mission would have been because he called them with that beacon. I don't know what else the mission would have been.
Did they? I have to go back. I thought that the last time we saw the beacon was when Andor got called off to Gorman.
No, we see it again like right before it kind of switches to the party. Because Bix says, no matter what it is, I'm going to go with you. Okay,
I see. Yeah, it could have been that mission where he got shot, and that was maybe kind of the last straw. I'll talk about this more in depth later. These year jumps, I think, retroactively, we have obviously had 2-year jumps. I think we're missing some very vital character development that I wish we could have gotten to see, because the last episode to me seemed like it was building towards them having a good relationship with Luthen. Maybe not. Regardless, that's where we're at now. Is that Andor and Bix are not working with Luthen anymore. Willman is trying to convince them to come work with him, which also is strange because it felt like Willman was going to go with Saw Gerrera. So things, I just feel like the way things were left the last episode, this year jump has kind of got me confused. Or maybe it was just Saw trying to like maybe light someone on fire and then send him back over into Luthen's camp to kind of set that camp on fire. Not in a bad way, but like, inspirational fire as it were. So while they're on Yavin, Bix reluctantly takes Andor to see a Force healer.
Yeah.
Which this is a bizarre scene. I'm not really sure what they're getting at. I mean, ultimately, we'll talk about it later. At the end of these 3 episodes, we know what the final conclusion of this is. But like, I do often feel like a lot of the scenes in Andor have kind of a real world parallel. This, I mean, you and I would agree that prayer is a very powerful thing, and it can bring people closer. Like through prayer, it's not just about physical healing, but it's also about like bringing you closer to your real purpose in life. It brings you closer to God. People's relationship with the Force is a very odd thing in this universe. You have some people who don't believe in it. You have some people who don't practice the Force, but like believe in it and believe its goodness. But like the existence of it's kind of interesting that people default towards the Force being a good thing, but like there's also the dark side of the Force also exists. So like, is the will of the Force an inherently good thing if the dark side also exists, or is the light side the Force and the dark side is a perversion of the Force? I don't know. These are bigger questions that the show is not dealing with. But anyways, please.
I forgot about the Force.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought that episode. Oh yeah,
not really
I forgot this is Jedi Wizard Star Wars.
Like, they reference the Emperor, but there's no reference to Vader. There's really very little reference to the Jedi. Like,
he's
like the Jedi and that whole side of the conflict is just kind of not normally relevant.
Because most of the Inquisitors are dead at this point.
Are they really? Okay.
All
interesting.
Right. Well,
I don't think we need to run this.
We can
down.
talk about the Rebels. This does line up with Rebels.
When does Rebels end? Like I know, like
this
Rebels.
This arc lines up exactly with season 3, episode 18,
which is
when the Ghost Crew takes Mon Mothma.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, they're the crew who takes Mon Mothma to Yavin?
To Gold Squad, who then takes her. But yes.
They're Gold Squad.
I don't think they're Gold Squad.
Okay.
It's like a couple of handoffs. They are handing off Mon Mothma to Gold Squad because they're like, well, we want her to have an entourage introduction.
I see.
No, they're like the middleman.
I see. That would have been, man, I would have been all for.
I was waiting.
Just drop live action Ghost Crew.
Cameron,
that would have been sick.
I think you need to know.
But
whatever, fine, whatever.
Ultimately, the point of the healer is she does heal Andor, and he kind of just leaves because he's kind of freaked out. And
it's in the conversation leading up to that is so they know about Cassian knows about her because he's trying to ask Bix like, why did you bring me here? And he says, you're lucky Marva isn't here, because he reveals that Marva hated Force healers, and it's kind of interesting bickering back and forth. And Bix goes, she hated one Force healer. I wondered who that was. I'm like, imagine if it was like Barris or something.
It was probably someone who was a scam artist. It was probably a con artist.
But anyway, it was kind of funny because I was like, oh, first Marva reference.
But this Force healer like senses Andor as soon as he comes into the camp, goes and like senses something much more to him than a normal person, and then talks to Bix and says to Bix that something along the lines of like, most people carry with them their past, but Andor is picking up his purpose as he goes along, and that he has somewhere to be. She doesn't know what it is. Maybe it's Bix.
Scared.
It's a beach. But
a beach and a sunset.
Bix is very clearly much more open to this than Andor is, and Bix is really taken aback by this whole thing.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about what that means for her later. For me, though, I kind of find this scene kind of bizarre, because I feel like the whole point of something like Andor is to get away from, like, we all love mainline Star Wars. We love Luke. We love Anakin. We love Destiny. Like, that's all very captivating in the movies. But we also, I think it's nice to have a flip side where you have a bunch of characters who are kind of choosing to be who they are. And this kind of, to me, introduces a little bit too much of an idea of destiny. And like Andor is meant to be this role. And I don't love that.
Oh, see, I took it as a tie-in to Rogue One when they start talking about the wills of the Force.
Yeah.
That's what I just thought it was kind of leading into that.
I just like, I guess all of Star Wars, if you have the Force and the will of the Force, there's always going to be a destiny element intertwined there. But to make it so explicit, because you said they don't talk about the Force, and I think this might open up to a larger criticism I have of these 3 episodes. It does start to creep in a little bit more into being sort of more Disney Star Warsy, which is not always a bad thing. But like, there's a couple of things in here that feel less like what we love about Andor and more just kind of generic Star Wars stuff. And this does not feel like something that was a natural element of Andor. That's
maybe
that's why for me this scene does not work great.
It makes me think about how when they meet Chirrut and Baze in Rogue One, who were guardians of that temple on Jeddah, Chirrut, who's blind, says he's gonna go with Jyn, because he can sense something about her. Sure. So that, to me, that was the tie-in.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting question of what is the difference between Andor and Rogue One. I think Rogue One, what's great about the collection of characters in Rogue One is that they're also different from each other. They're all jaded and have a really like, they have a lot of pain in their past, but they're all for like different. We're all coming at it from very different places. But I think what's fun about Andor is all the characters are kind of the same. And so to bring in this Force element, just to me, I like the idea of Andor pumping up against it. But as a viewer, you're like, well, if you bring in someone with using the Force, they're not going to be wrong. I guess in Andor, what's great a lot of the time is no one is necessarily right or wrong. I mean, other than like Cyril and Deidre, but even they come around to having human feelings, and they are themselves conflicted, which we'll talk about. But like, at least the Rebels, Saw's approach and Luthen's approach and Mothma's approach and Andor's approach, these characters, they all none of them are 100% right. It's not. It never really feels like the show is telling you this is the right perspective. This is correct. It's just different ways of doing this, and based on circumstance and personality. But bringing in a Force character, it's like, well, we know she's not wrong about him. Like, they're not going to have a Force character show up and say something about Andor that is you can refute, I guess. I guess to me that's it. I guess it takes away the audience's ability to like make conclusions, and just kind of the show telling the audience something that's absolute. These are kind of all just raw thoughts coming out of my head right now. I didn't have this written down. I'm just sometimes working through processing why I don't like this scene very much.
Well, it's not the first Jedi related thing in the show. Luthen had a kyber crystal on him in the first season that he gives to Andor.
Yeah, but that is dramatically different than having a Force user, I'd say.
Well, yeah, but
it's a short scene. It's not like she becomes a main character, the Force user. It seems like there's a lot of stuff. I guess the bigger picture I'm getting at is there's a lot more things in these 3 episodes that feel more prequel-y. I think up to this point, this show feels very separated from Rogue One, as in it's not necessarily building to Rogue One as it is telling us the story of Andor. It is this character, and we are just developing this character. Whereas there are some things in this that feel like they only exist to set up things that lead into Rogue One. Does that make sense? There's the very like cliched prequel-y thing of like, well, you got to show where the jacket came from, and you got to explain like
jacket.
Well, I'm just like not in this specific one, but like that's from the Jack Sparrow's prequel sequence in Pirates of the Caribbean 5, where they explain where he got his hat and his jacket. Like the classic prequel thing.
It came out.
Well, it's bad. Prequel things, like in Solo, they have to explain where his blaster came from, and I'm trying to think of other I'm probably blanking on any prequel specifics, but like they have to explain where like why this character says this, or where this phrase came from, or why they do this certain thing. Like that just feels too neat, I guess. And so to have this like prophecy spoken over Andor that he has somewhere he needs to be is both too vague and does not align with the show's themes, I guess. Because I guess like the show is very political. The show is very much about taking action, about not being like complicit in the evil of power, and just having this like random like paranormal or what is it like supernatural, thank you, element thrown in. Doesn't match with the show, but we often talk about the show like projecting fiction as a metaphor into real life. This is reflective of real life, that God has a calling for your life. God wants you, God knows what is best for you, and God's purpose for you is way better than your own purpose. And Andor, if left to his own devices, he just wants to go live his life. And
he was wanting to leave.
But like if we're extrapolating this into our belief system of the real world, yes, it is important for there to be an outside voice, for you to have people in your life telling you, no, this is what you should be doing, because this is for the greater good. This is why you are here. Like and I often think about this show, like it's like the unfortunate thing is they do so, like eventually it seems like people want to crash out. They want to check out. They want to be, I've done too much. I can't do any more. But if they don't defeat the Empire, it's literally all for nothing. Like, it doesn't matter how far you get. You can get 99% of the way to defeating the Empire, but if you don't actually take them out, it doesn't mean anything. And so I guess that's my point of, like, I don't think it works for the show, but in the bigger picture of, like, meaning and purpose, I do think there's a supernatural force guiding our lives that want us to participate in the good fight. And that this is kind of his call, I guess. He is very much considering leaving the good fight, and this is his call from a greater good to join the good fight. So I guess in that sense, I like it.
Interesting. No, I didn't take it as a prophecy at all. Okay. Because I don't see the Force as a good thing. I think it's just a Force. It's just something that exists in Star Wars, and I think I'll explain. It's like all it does is balance.
Mm-hmm.
It just determines balance. And so I don't think there is inherently good or bad thing about it. I don't think it's good or evil, but I think people manipulate it.
Fair. So, Andor does end up taking Wilman's call for help to come to Gorman. I'm trying to remember how Andor gets his assignment exactly. Is it through Wilman or
Yeah,
is
it's
it
through Wilman because when he leaves, Commander Draven's like,
You're not allowed to leave Yavin
without approval. And it's like it's a personal trip, which...
And he says the day that I have to have permission to come and go is the day that I don't
leave.
come back.
Yeah.
And what is that character's name again?
Draven,
who is a character from Rogue One.
Do you know what I just realized?
Yeah.
They didn't have permission to go to Scarif
That's true.
when they left, and he didn't come back.
That's true.
Man, that's rough.
Yeah, General Draven. At least as far as Rogue One, he might.
Sorry.
Well, I'm not correcting you. I'm saying I did not realize he was that high ranking.
Yeah.
And we have not seen him in Andor prior to this episode, right?
No, we have not. There was also a scene that started off in Gorman.
Well, I was wanting to just like get us to Gorman through Andor, and then
that's what were we not there?
Well,
yet?
I felt like there was so they told him you need to check in, check out. And we had that exchange of the day that I have to ask to leave, come and go is the day that I don't come back. I guess I wanted to talk about Draven. They kind of just drop him in, and it's funny. This kind of goes. I guess this goes more into what I was talking about, the prequel-y stuff. Is they introduce this character as he's like this kind of this dramatic shot of him walking across, and it's like the only reason this shot exists because you're supposed to recognize this character, and this character only exists in Rogue One. So as we get closer to Rogue One, these 3 episodes kind of start to get in my nerves a little bit. Like there's some really great stuff in here, but there's also some stuff that only exists to be Rogue One prequel. It's less Andor and more Rogue One prequel. And I don't love it. And so, like, I think this is a great actor, and I'm glad he's in it. But it's just certain shots,
interesting,
certain the way certain scenes go, just kind of feel like they only exist because you're supposed to. Like, we are getting into kind of weird fan servicey stuff, which Andor's always been really great about avoiding. So it's small in this sequence, but I'm just kind of building my examples.
Well, I mean, you could probably say the same then for Mon Mothma's assistant.
Yeah, but he has a character purpose. He does, but they don't introduce him. He's just kind of there, though. Like, he's just around. They pulled a pre-existing character, but like they don't like make a big deal out of it. Whereas they make it. There's this character. There's 2 other characters who, when they show up, they make a really big deal. One, I understand why they make a big deal, but we'll get there. Anyways, we go to Gorman.
I mean, it could also just be saying that. I didn't see it as fan service, but I saw it more as a tie to how bureaucratic the rebellion is by the time we get to
the scene itself is important. But like the beginning of the scene, how they introduce the character, the shot of him walking up, like you would, if this was like a random rebel like officer, they would not have introduced the character. He just would have been there. But they chose, because it's the first time we're seeing this character, the show kind of acts like this is like, what's his name? Bail Organa showing up. Like it acts like this is a character you've been waiting to see. I mean, I just like the visual. I guess what I'm saying is the show goes out of its way to show characters that it would not normally show, only because they are pre-existing characters.
Interesting, because I just thought it was a wide shot of what the rebellion looked like at the time, and so.
So, what do we have to say about Gorman?
Well, so we skipped over this scene, and there's a lot of planning for something nefarious between Deidre and the commanders. My initial they're gonna orbital bombard this like Gorman. Which spoilers doesn't end up happening, but what ends up happening feels worse. Cyril and Deidre are there. We get a kiss between them. And I was like, so there's planning, and you can see the finished Imperial building right over the monument, which the Gorman people didn't want in one of the wide shots. They opened because there had been we actually see Star Wars journalists in this episode.
Yeah, like broadcasters.
Yeah, like broadcasters, and they're reporting on a terrorist attack in a naval pier. And it's interesting because they made a note. They said none of the local terrorist groups have claimed it, which I thought was kind of interesting because the last arc, the Gormans wanted to be known. Now, I think it's implied it was Willman. It was not. Was it the Gorman Raider?
Well, there seems to be not a lot of direct information given to us. Is it also seems like it may have not been a terrorist attack, but like because as we see is later, the Empire is very much more the aggressor, and then they frame it as if...
Yes, it could have been the Empire, so we don't have enough information, but Willman is also really dodgy about it, too.
Interesting, yeah. And that's what I like about this show. The show leaves bits of information open for you to come to a conclusion. I think my conclusion, based on... there's two conclusions you can come to based on no one taking credit for it, is that there was not actually a terrorist attack, and it was the Empire opening fire on whoever, and then they just, this was a terrorist attack, but no one's taking credit for it. Or is that it's Luthen who does not take credit for anything, and it is an element of, they keep using the phrase outside agitators, and that is just them reporting no one's taking credit for it is showing to the galaxy there are people being involved here that are not just locals, and that they want to paint this larger narrative of Gorman is becoming a problem because not only is it the locals, but it is drawing in other agitators. So either way, it kind of plays into the Imperial narrative. They are shaping a narrative by reporting that. Nothing that's being reported on the Imperial network is an accident. It is very much a part of the image they're trying to shape. So
the image they've been shaping against the Gormans for a while, for years at this point. So the goal is to basically kill Deidre. The goal is to assassinate her.
Yeah, for Andor.
And Willman. And so he checks into the hotel under the guise of a journalist. And there's a lot of, you don't have clearance. There's a curfew now. We'll have to check in with the Imperials. The guy checking him in recognizes him, and it's the concierge who took him to his room in the last arc when he was a fashion designer. And they very much like have some conversation that he goes, you know the way. Like he recognized him and indirectly doesn't call Cassian out on it, but it's I know you're lying.
But he also it's an indication that he's a friend.
Yes,
like,
that's what I said. It wasn't an indirect.
And he says, like, when Andor shows up, and they ask him if he's like registered with an office or something, and he says he hasn't had a chance to. And the other employee says, "Off to report this," and she walks off, and the bellhop says to him, "She will report it."
She
like,
will.
Everything he says is kind of indicating, "I am a friend, and I'm here to help."
Yeah.
And he helps him get the room that he needs. And to quickly, before we have a chance to skip it, you talked about Deidre's call. Cyril shows up demanding answers. That this is our first indication that Cyril and Deidre are not on the same page. We knew early on that Deidre was not telling Cyril everything. But to me, I would have thought, and we can talk about this in a minute, I would not have thought that mattered. But we are seeing here that it does very much matter. Because the big thing that's circulating around Gorman is that there are rumors that they are landing. There's a
mining.
They're bringing all this mining. They're bringing soldiers. There's this rumors that the Empire is moving on Gorman. And Cyril is smart enough to know, and he has a connection to know that it's not just a rumor. It's the truth. And he goes to Deidre demanding information, and she doesn't give it to him, and she just says be ready to leave, which pretty much confirms everything he believes.
Andor does some scoping out and realizes there's also stormtroopers on Gorman. They're not really noticeable, but it's enough that he like hears their chatter a couple rooms above him on a balcony, this isn't our first. Is this our first stormtrooper appearance?
In this season, maybe. There were stormtroopers
at the end of Ferrix. Yeah, you're right.
But this season, this is probably the first time we're seeing legit stormtroopers.
Yeah, the vibe is that when they show up, it's kind of a big deal.
Sure.
The armored troops have shown up.
Well, because I mean, so we have parallel running of kind of what's happening with the rebels and what's happening with the Imperials. We see, I think this show more than anything else kind of draws some clear distinctions between stormtroopers and like low-level Imperial soldiers who don't have any armor, who are in black uniforms, and specifically the group that they brought
SWAT
in.
Team.
Well, SWAT is...
But like, seriously not prepared.
They're more like peace officers. Like, they're not ready for
rookies.
battle. Like, you'd bring these guys in if you did not really... to dissuade violence.
They're like concert security.
Sure. Yeah, security is probably better. Like, you bring these guys in to dissuade people from doing violence, but you don't really expect them to actually respond well in the case of actual violence. You do not bring these guys in. You bring stormtroopers in for that. So they bring these guys in and they keep commenting. Various characters keep observing how young they are. These guys are not ready.
They're very green.
And that'll be very important later. I just wanted to set that up. We also have Cyril. See, what is both kind of difficult at times, but I also enjoy in other times, is we kind of just drop in on storylines, kind of. And we drop in seemingly on a storyline of how things have gone between Cyril and the Gorman front.
Yep.
And really the only real indication we get of it is two sequences. One we'll talk about later. One is Cyril goes to try to actually warn. So you have Ryland is the leader of the Gorman front. Well, and his daughter is Pinza.
Yeah, and what's the important thing is that the day that Andor is there's been a planned protest.
Yes.
In the square.
But before that, Cyril goes to try to actually warn Pinza about what's coming and says something to her about there's something about the outside agitators that you guys are he pretty much implies you guys are being manipulated.
Yeah.
And she just slaps him and walks off.
Yeah.
Like, this scene doesn't really make a lot of sense.
I was super confused because the way he approached her made me wonder, I'm like, is he two-timing Deidre?
Well, see, we picked up on that in the first, the last arc.
Yeah.
And there's just such big gaps here. And there's a line of dialogue later that seems to imply that at this point, everyone knows about Cyril.
Maybe we'll get a novel for each year in between.
Yeah, So it seems like the whole point of this scene is to show two things. One, Cyril does actually care about the Gormans and seemingly was only ever interested in drawing in Andor or people that could lead to Andor. That's what he thought he was doing, I think.
Yeah.
But it also shows that his relationship with the Gormans is totally deteriorated.
Yeah.
And that will play a big element where he ends up later.
Because they start marching to the square. A lot of Gormans. Flags, singing, almost said cheering, chanting, and Cyril is like, he needs to warn people, and he encounters Rylands, and Rylands flips out on him because the Empire has started putting up barriers, like crowd control barriers around the square. And
what the important information to set up where Rylands is at is prior to, so Rylands was the leader. We see a scene of him arguing with the other younger rebels about,
I forgot about that.
He seemed to be very afraid of Imperial repercussions.
Yeah.
And
there's
kind of a conflict of philosophies here of whether they go back to less insurrectionist movement and more like silent protest.
Oh yeah, silent protest
or direct
versus
action.
Yeah.
And when all of the protesters arrive and there's soldiers, there's the lower level soldiers there with barriers, but then I think stormtroopers maybe later. So, regardless, Ryland calls out this is a trap. He sees it.
Yeah, and he encounters Cyril and starts beating up on Cyril, and Cyril actually throws him into a wall. Cyril's kind of strong.
Yeah.
He must be. Maybe
he's also like an older man, though.
Oh yeah, true. But I think we also see later. Maybe there's not a lot to do on Gorman aside from just like go to gyms or something. Because he calls him Karn, which is funny because that's his last name, and calls him out. He's like, I knew it was you. You were always, one of them. He basically kind of saw right through him, which is kind of true, but it seems like Cyril.
Well, he definitely did not from the beginning because he was the one who like convinced Cyril to join.
Well, yes, but they did also look up his information, and he was like they knew he was working for the Empire.
Well, I mean, that was his job. They wanted him from the beginning because he worked for the Empire.
Yes, but when things were turning, he was like, I knew, like, I always knew. It was
I mean, I guess the question is, did he, we know he did not always know, because he helped recruit Cyril. So when he says, I always knew, is he, like, trying to pass blame off to Cyril, even though it was his leadership that led them here? I guess I'm trying to dissect the truth of that statement, because his actions in the last arc do not show that he thinks Cyril is a friend that can help them. But if he's saying that I always knew, is that the exact line of dialogue?
I thought so. See, this is interesting, because when I thought they first interacted, I thought Rylance was super suspicious of Cyril.
See, I seem to recall him trying to convince him to join.
Yeah, I thought it was fake.
Oh,
I thought they saw him as someone who was an Imperial supporter to convince them to join so they could manipulate him for their own game. That's how I saw that.
If he ever distrusted him, they trusted his information, because Andor says to them, I'm sorry, I've already forgotten this character's name that we're talking. Rylance. Rylance says to Andor in the last arc, we have someone on the inside. Andor says the Empire specializes in misinformation, and Rylance says the information's reliable. So I think he saw what he wanted to see in Cyril. That it was so convenient that it was someone that was so high ranking within the information, who was not themselves Imperial, that was so on their side, so clearly fed up with the Empire. It was all an act. And that they could bring him in and get the information they needed from him. Retroactively, he's now acting like he always knew, but he did not. He fell for the trap just like everyone else, and I think he feels very guilty about letting Cyril manipulate them, because I think he's now in this moment. Rylance is seeing the big picture. He's seeing crap, the Empire manipulated us into starting a fight so they could crush us and have an excuse to crush us.
Also, side note, Willman has a type. Because we see Willman with this blonde, not French lady. I don't know. We had this conversation of what Gorman was. It's like somewhat French, but not French.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Caleb for helping us conclude that it's because he speaks French. He knows languages.
I still think it's French. But he meets up with this short-haired blonde girl. They're very obviously a thing. And my thought was he has a type because the girl he liked on Mina Rao was very similar in looks. Curly blonde hair.
Yeah, I had to look up to see whether it was the same character or not. So I'm trying to find this interaction between Cyril and Rylance. Okay, so here's Rylance saying it's a trap. Oh, it's a trap.
Aha, it's a trap.
Here it is. Okay, so Rylance says, how can we be so... Oh, so what we did not... we dropped out, which is important to, I think, the motivation of Cyril. He says, I never meant you any harm.
Yeah.
Which shows that he never wanted to take down the Gormans. He wanted to take down whoever came to help them. Mm-hmm. And Rylance says, how can you speak those words? You've destroyed us. Cyril says, I was here to trap outside agitators. Rylance says, look at you even now. Sorry, people know what you're doing. So I don't think Rylance is claiming to have ever known. He's more talking about what's happening now. Is like, I can't believe you're claiming to not want to hurt us. He's saying that the mining equipment is here. I know who you are. And this, okay, so I'm now realizing this is an important sequence because Cyril in this moment is actually still calling those rumors. He's still in denial about what's happening. Yeah. This is what leads Cyril to actually believe them. It's a great interaction.
Mm-hmm. And then Rylance goes to find his daughter. He's shoved to the ground. And goes to go try to find his daughter. People are just kind of pouring in to the square. Cassian's kind of on the edge. He's just like, I don't know what to do. Cyril, we can go back to Cyril in a bit, but Cassian just kind of, he's sitting at the edge, kind of watching everything, and that's when they notice. That's when the stormtroopers start. So it's like a town circle with the monument in the middle,
Yep.
lots of shops, and then like stairs that go up and lead to the rest of the city. It's a very central point. The stormtroopers start closing off exits and standing on the stairs and corralling people inside. Cassian's already getting bad vibes from this because he's experienced.
Well, he knows.
He actually goes, so he's kind of dodging first the stormtroopers, and he actually ends up in the hotel for a bit. Because he talks to the concierge again, and the concierge, I can't remember what the whole conversation is. The concierge says rebellions are built on hope, which is the thing Jyn Erso says.
No, so it goes from this concierge to Andor. Andor says it to Jyn.
Okay, well, sorry, it's been a while since I've
But
seen
then Jyn says it in her big
okay.
speech at the end. So it's kind of this line of like
That's what,
characters
okay, that
inspiring
makes sense.
each
Because
other.
I was like, well, how did Jyn know that same exact thing? Okay, so anyways, he says the thing.
Which goes back to, like, I like this. I actually do like that this would be kind of a line passed from person to the other. And especially as they're building up that Andor needs to like, kind of be fully committed and he's still not fully committed. But it does go back to what I said about this kind of prequel-y stuff. Like, not all of it's bad, but more than any part of Andor up to this, they are, like, setting up things, not really setting up, but just kind of doing things that are in Rogue One and just, here's where this started. And sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. This another example.
Interesting.
But I like this because this character was set up previously. You would believe that this character would say that because he was present at the previous massacre. And they have a relationship, and it makes a lot of sense. I like this scene a lot, and I like this character.
So things start escalating. Sorrel and Cassian are just missing each other, which is really funny. It's very American
I
Tail.
knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
If you've seen American Tail, it's about a young Russian mouse who escapes.
He's Russian? I guess I've never seen it.
No, well, I think, is it like, is Kanashki Jewish technically?
Interesting.
No, I'm not lying.
I didn't say you were lying. I just don't know. I guess I've never seen it.
It's about...
I mean, his last name is Mouskowitz. So.
It's about mice that
they're from Russia. Yeah,
that
you're
are
right.
escaping
I did not know that.
the communist cats.
That's wild. That's so... I did not know that's what American Tail
Oh my
was
gosh.
about.
Okay, so yes, American Tail. So I have to explain it. It's
Well, you know what? It seems... I would normally cut us off here, but there does seem to be some
they're
parallels
fleeing
between...
persecution in Russia.
American Tail is the children's version of Andor, it sounds like.
So anyways, they're just missing each other, which is kind of funny considering the whole first season Cyril's trying to find Cassian. So they're just missing each other. And then Cyril goes to run inside the Imperial building, which is also where he works, which is where
And
Deidre...
right when he's going in, we're seeing the newscasters again.
Yeah.
And it is certainly a protest. It is certainly tense, but it is definitely a protest, but the newscasters are describing it as a volatile insurgency.
Yeah.
Like, you can see that they've already been handed the script, and they're just reporting things as the Empire wants them to, not as they clearly are. Like, yes, it's tense. It could get violent, but it is a very legal protest.
Yeah, it's legal.
And it is not violent, not as of yet.
No. And so Cyril hops the barricades and they try to stop him because he's looking a little like he looks like just a random local guy, and the Imperials recognize him. They let him in, and he's immediately like, I need to talk to Dedra now. And they're like, no, you can actually go sit in this side room. And they sit in the side room. It's him and a couple of other people. And this is a scene from the trailer that we've been wondering. It's a room full of K2SO droids.
See, it's funny. They later call them, I'd never heard this, but they're KX droids. It's kind of the
KX droids,
generic term for them. I did not know that. I accidentally wrote my notes IG droids. That would be kind of funny.
Instagram bots.
Exactly.
But so he's just in this room, and they're like, hang out here for a little while we calm things down. So he hangs out, manages to sneak upstairs while things kind of lull for a bit. And holy cow, this scene between him and Deidre is
tense, to say the least.
Bad, because he comes in on fire, and he is like demanding. He grabs her, and she like, it scares her, demanding that she be open with him, and he starts to choke her, which is like, whoa.
Yeah, pretty much. Deidre tries to justify what they've been doing.
Yeah,
that the Empire was going to do it anyways. And she says, she kind of throws it back in his face that you
said,
didn't mind the promotions.
Yeah, we're going to be heroes. We're going to go home and we're going to be together.
And pretty much Throw just says, good luck, Deidre, and leaves.
After he nearly chokes her to the point of passing out. You know, Darth Vader would never stand for this kind of stuff in the Empire. Just throwing it out there.
So,
you know, Darth Vader, the king of choking his pregnant wife.
It is after this sequence that we kind of move into the climax, which is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Of course.
And he runs out and joins the crowd.
Yeah, not necessarily as a protester, but he's in the crowd now.
He immediately he leaves, but he doesn't also leave the crowd.
Yeah, that's
he just kind of hangs out in the crowd. And Deidre, find Cyril, bring him back. She's like,
if there's one thing the show Andor is good at, is it's having a big protest explode into combat.
Yeah,
and like it is very, very similar to the protest from the end of season 1, but it still feels different enough and unique enough from that it's its own thing.
Yeah.
So an Imperial sniper shoots... Sorry, is there something before this?
Yeah, because what happens... So the Gormans start singing, what I'm assuming is their national anthem. And so people are jeering, people are singing, and then the higher Imperials send out the green rookie team to create a path to a memorial. So they're in the people, they're shoving them. Mm-hmm. They are forcing them back. People are kind of throwing things at them, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Well, actually, the leader of this group actually calls a retreat right before an inciting incident happens. And so they're actually going to pull back and try to de-escalate. Mm-hmm. And an Imperial sniper shoots one of the Imperial soldiers, which then causes them to start the Imperial officers start opening fire on the crowd.
Yeah,
just like point blank, not even firing into the crowd to try to like dissipate the crowd, just straight up narking people.
Yeah, they went they said shots fired, man down, and just opened fire in this group of what? I don't know how many people you can fit in there. Hundreds?
Yeah. Yeah, a couple hundred people.
And just it's a tough watch. Not to say like, you know, it's just...
But it's also incredible. It's real location, hundreds... I mean, I think it's really easy to kind of take things for granted, but like to get hundreds of extras in costume, in this environment, have it be this well staged and executed on a technical level, it's amazing.
One thing I noticed is that there's not a lot of music during this part that I could tell at all.
Observation.
I'd probably want to re-listen to it with good headphones because I just kind of watched it off my computer. But from what I could tell, there's like not a lot of music, and if it is, it's very low. It's not a music heavy scene.
Sure.
So it's bad. People are dropping like flies. It's horrible. And then some of the other rebels, like Willman and the others, they do start returning fire. Well,
yeah, it is. I don't know why I find this so funny, because we saw them earlier. We saw the rebels gearing up with equipment earlier, and they have them like hidden in their jackets and stuff. I just find it very funny that these like very kind of fresh green rebels, they're just ready to...
They're like, let's go!
Handguns to pull out, like, all right, we're ready, let's go!
So the stormtroopers on the steps are basically surrounding everyone. They're firing into the crowd, and then once fire starts getting returned, the Empire sends in the KX droids. And...
so good. Like, it's horrifying, but as a piece of like suspenseful media, it's masterfully done.
The people have started to kind of dissipate into the streets where they've been able to get out because some of the stormtroopers have been taken out. One of the KX droids walks up to one of the barricades, which if you've seen like a concrete barricade in real life, it's like that. It's just kind of made out of metal. It's still very heavy, and he kicks it like it's an empty trash can, and it flies through the crowd, displacing people. And it's
incredible,
horrifying, because then they just start grabbing people and throwing them. They're ruthless. They're mindless killing machines.
Insane.
One of the people that they grab is the Ryland's daughter.
Yeah. Her name is Penza.
A lot of the other like kind of key rebel Gormans that we see, they've been injured. This droid grabs Penza, throws her 25 feet. The scale's a little bit different, but difficult to gauge, but you can only do so much. 25 feet, kills her. Breaks her neck, breaks her back, just dead. And I'm sitting here watching this and I'm like, oh, I'm like, oh, I did make a horrible joke and I said, because I was like, what kind of arm do they have? And I said, someone get them into the NFL draft ASAP. Just
the fact that the K2 droids, they don't have weapons, they don't have guns, they don't have knives, they don't have any like a melee weapon. They just throw. They don't even like punch people. They just throw people.
These things are in Jedi Survivor. I hate them. They're tough enough to fight with a lightsaber. I hate them so much. And then we have this really. I hate to say it. It's a good scene. I wish I had a better description for it. It's just a scene focusing on Cyril, 1,000 yards staring into the carnage all around him, and it's just wow.
And so,
and I did have a comment, Megan. When you listen to this in 6 months, if you listen to it, first of all, spoilers. I'm so sorry. For the rest of this episode. Because I went, oh, the radicalization is happening. Is this the redemption arc? We'll find out soon. But
I want to paint the picture here. So through all this, Andor's trying to get a clear shot on Deidre.
Yes,
he's like laser focused.
That's why he's on the edge. He's trying to get a good shot.
People are like, there's blaster fire going every which direction. K2 droids or KX droids are throwing people and kicking over barriers. He is totally laser focused until the bellhop throws a grenade and it blows up a wall.
Yes.
Probably killing him, unfortunately.
And then the Empire really starts locking in then.
And that explosion causes Andor, he's about to get a shot off on Deidre, causes him to flinch. It also causes, if I remember correctly, Cyril to turn and brings Andor into his vision.
View.
And up to this moment, you think, wow, Cyril has actually changed. He's actually gone against Deidre. He doesn't believe in what the Empire is doing. He truly believed in working for the Empire on a large scale, but did not believe in destroying a planet and destroying a people unjustly. But then he sees Andor, and it's really funny because last week when we were talking about the possibility of Cyril and Andor running into each other on Gorman, you specifically said Cyril's going to see Cyril's going to see Cassian and crash out. And that's exactly what happened. You called it.
I predicted it.
He goes feral. Cyril is feral.
Ape
it's so good.
Cassian. And he decks him, and Cassian is so caught off guard. Mm-hmm. And so this is not like, they are fighting. They are life or death fighting. Cyril, has a chokehold on Andor, and they're throwing stuff, they're crashing bottles. The gun is knocked out of Cassian's hand. Cyril comes in with a chair and breaks it on this is intense. And so
I said, as this scene started, I was psyched, and I said, because up to this moment I was actually complaining to Allison that I did not really buy Cyril being against what they were doing. I just never really, to me, Cyril felt so morally bankrupt and so empty that it did not seem like he would have the morals to be against this. I don't think I never foresaw him actually caring about Gorman. That's whatever. It actually, and but as it was happening, as it was playing out, I was kind of complaining to Allison. I said I didn't buy it. I didn't think it was properly set up. Didn't really care for it. Didn't really think it went with the character, what was established with the character. But then when this scene started, I turned to her and I said, I am all for him almost turning good if it just set up this anti-redemption arc the moment he sees Andor.
That's exactly what it is. And I saw some interesting comments on not TikTok, sorry, I haven't, on Twitter. We'll never call it X. You can pry Twitter out of my cold dead hands. Because it's like, I saw an interesting conversation where someone said that it's almost like Cyril sees Cassian as the fault for all this, the fault for him getting so into the Empire, the fault for him getting into this. So that's the person whose fault it is. Got him fired, had to live with his mom for 6 months, got his girlfriend, no longer Imperial girlfriend. So he's got a lot of beef with this man. And so Cassian is also taking cover because the Empire is still, just mowing down people outside. And so he hides behind the bar in this in the calf shop because he
One
can't
more
say
thing.
coffee.
One more note I had is that while he's on the ground, Cyril's choking him out,
yes.
and he grabs this jar of what I think is beans, and he smashes it on his head. And I just said to Allison, "Get beaned, idiot!"
And what happens is there was another it was the explosion from the hotel, knocks Cyril off, and you think he looks rough. You think he's dead, and so Cassian gets away and starts hiding. Cyril's not dead. Cyril gets up, finds Andor's gun, and comes around the bar and aims it at Cassian, and Cassian says the funniest line that he could have in any situation, entirely intentional. He looks at him and goes, "Who are you?" Because Cassian has no idea who Cyril is. He has no idea what his actions have done to ruin this man's life and career. And Cyril, like, you see his face, and it's almost like that's like almost the worst when you have beef with someone that have dedicated years of your life to this, just for them to go, just they don't even know who you are. They've had no idea the impact they've had on you. And he like looks at him, and he actually lowers the gun for half a second. And Rylan returns and gets actual killed by Rylands.
Yep.
And
this is the last thing he heard.
It is.
It's the last thing he went through his head, other than the bullet, was hearing Andor say,
Who are you?
Who are you? Like, it just like everything he had done for the last 3 years
was
worthless.
Is all for nothing.
Nothing.
And I feel like we should have a moment for Megan. I'm so sorry. Our friend Megan, her favorite character is Cyril, and she's been banking on a redemption arc for him. And I had a moment where I'm like, oh, the redemption arc is starting. And it didn't. It didn't. He went straight back into, he's like, I'm going to knock Andor's brains all over the floor of this coffee shop. So Megan, I'm so sorry. I promise we won't talk about this until you've seen it in 2 months, whenever your watch schedule is. I apologize. I thought of you last night when I watched this episode.
I think this is an incredible choice on how to conclude this character. I don't, in theory, love the setup for the redemption arc, but the payoff is that he doesn't have a redemption arc. An anti-redemption arc is incredible. And the fact that he gets his final showdown with Andor and just gets sniped in the head by...
Not by Andor.
By a different character who hated him, who actually did hate him. So good. Andor escapes, and he's arguing with Willman about trying to escape, and then we get this incredible shot that I forgot about. You see people falling over each other, and the camera just turns, and you see a guy...
I didn't see that!
You get a guy slammed into a brick wall, and he's like 15 feet off the ground.
Oh, okay, I did see that.
K2 droid through him. It's just... And the brutality is insane.
What's scarier is that it starts to run.
Yep. It starts to chase people.
That's and it's throwing people. It's killing them. It's just... It's awful. And I had a comment because they start... Andor and Willman start shooting him, and I'm like, blasters aren't going to do anything about this. Like, that's their point. So it's looking pretty bad. They're kind of cornered. They can't really outrun it. They can't outfight it. And
I think at this point, because Cassian also helped someone else up, I think he's interested in, if I can distract this thing, it can help everyone else escape.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there shooting at it as it slowly stalks towards him. Someone else runs over it with a giant...
Imperial transport.
Yeah.
Vehicular homicide.
It kills the K2 droid.
And the person that is driving it is the person that shot Cinta.
Oh, was it...
I
did not catch that.
That's the guy who misfired his gun and it killed Cinta.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's a good payoff for that.
So it does destroy this suspiciously K2SO shaped droid.
Yeah, cuts him in half actually.
Cuts him in half, so.
And this is where K2SO, my favorite character from Rogue One, super happy for him to start coming back, but like they spend so much time on this. It's not like...
Yeah, this was a long scene.
It's not like, oh, grab that droid, it could be useful. They like sit there and like stare at it forever, and he's like, We like they spent a lot of time on it,
And-
needless amount of time.
And Cassian's like, we need to go. And Woman's like, I have something I need to do. He's got to go get his girlfriend.
Yep.
That's what he needs to do. And so they're having this kind of heartfelt goodbye. This is a really long scene. In my opinion, I would have been gone. You would have seen me down at the end of the street. And so it's kind of like this emotional goodbye. Because, I mean, they're not sure if they're going to see each other. And then Cassian's like, wait, before you go, a favor, and asks them to help.
That's too prequel-y
that
for me.
was, I think, the one thing I was kind of like, interesting.
Like, you just have him look at the droid and cut away. We know. It explains. The show is normally so good about leaving things open. And you could just cut to him with the droid in the ship. We don't need him say, hey, wait, help me. We don't need that. Just cut to him in the ship with the droid. Perfect.
Yeah, I think that was the one where I was just kind of like, okay.
I will say, so I was thinking about where we were in the season last season, and this is the Narkina 5.
This is the Narkina 5.
I think this season does have a lacking for, like, secondary characters. Like, I think of, the guy who, like, Kino Loy, the kind of the guy, the main other prisoner who was over them, and it was played by, I'm going to blank on his name.
Smeagol. And Snoke.
Yeah, let's see.
We've talked about him enough.
His name is Andy Serkis. Incredible secondary character.
Not my Andy Serkis, not my Andy Monkeys.
Even like he's like a tertiary character because he's only in a few episodes. But
yeah, I feel like the secondary characters I want to say I don't really care for. I don't really care for Willman.
I find him very boring. Like he had that one great scene, and it doesn't really pay off. Like they keep giving him these love interests. No, okay, this plays into a larger point. Supposedly, the creator of this show originally had 5 seasons planned out. The first season, and then 1 season for each year after. They ended up having him do 1 season and then another season of 4 years. So theoretically, each of these arcs would have been at least a piece of a larger season.
Yeah.
Does that mean Willman would have had like a different love interest in every season? Would that have been like the joke?
Time. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I don't feel like Vel is as compelling.
No, not
season.
nowhere near as compelling. She has 1 scene, and that's what we skipped over, and she just exists to try to convince Bix that Andor is important. That's the opposite of the Bechdel test. That is 2 women whose conversation only exists to talk about a man. Like, it's not about Vel, it's not about a Bix, it's about Andor.
Now,
Clea, it's a very boring scene. Clea's great.
Luthen's assistant.
Love Clea.
Absolutely phenomenal. I love seeing more of this side character.
That's true. But I guess, like, the first season would just drop in these characters. Like, Kino Loy came out of nowhere. We're not, I guess, like, you know, Ryland is pretty good, but that's also because, like, he's an older actor who can make a lot of that character. Like, his daughter's not interesting. Willman's girlfriend is not interesting. Like, I just don't feel like we're getting... It's not a criticism of the show. It's just like if we're comparing it to the first season, the whole point of the show is to flesh out the universe, I feel. Like, make the normal people have us understand their plight. And I just don't feel like there's a lot of characters to connect with. Now, Andor, Bix, Luthen, Mon Mothma, the main crew, phenomenal. But I do feel there's a lacking in that once you step away from those characters.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. But then it's also like, well, if you're having to go through 4 years, you don't want to give so much.
Well, didn't have to do that. To do that. Like, you could have chosen. Like, I feel like almost like it would have been better if, like, you had a 2 or 3 year gap. You had like the first 6 episodes, and then you did a 2 or 3 year gap, and then you had, because I think a lot of the things that have happened in the middle would have made a lot more sense if it was in a 2 to 3 year gap rather than these things happening in these random, almost seemingly random 1 year gaps. We can talk about the year gaps. I have more to say about that later.
I do think this is my favorite arc so far, actually, of season 2.
That's a good question. I do think it has the best stuff. I struggle with it as a whole, but like this in the next episode, the actual, like, this whole climax of this episode and then most of the next episode, really good. I can see why you'd say that.
I just can't believe they cut Alan Tudyk in half for this scene. I'm just really impressed by that.
We have 2 more scenes in this episode that are very emotional. It's pretty much just Deidre tweaking out.
Yeah, Deidre is losing it because, well, my guess is someone has probably found Cyril dead at this point. or she has seen him leave,
or she
and
could just presume that he's dead.
Yeah,
Like,
that's my guess. Like,
there's
she's
a
got
good
know.
chance he's dead from her
She's like
perspective.
ripping at her collar. It's a very tight fitting like Imperial uniform.
I thought she was about to just tear it off, and I was glad because I did not want her to also have a redemption arc.
Oh.
And I think I was glad that it was not her ripping off her collar. It was her just like trying to loosen it because she was like having a panic
tweaking
attack.
out in her little safe room.
It's an incredible bit of acting.
It is.
Because there's no dialogue. It's just her. It's just different postures. Every time it cuts, she's having a different sort of like panic attack response. She's dizzy. She's leaned over. She's trying to like straighten out her jacket compulsively. It's really good.
And then
the final scene.
Yeah.
This is shockingly like this made Allison cry.
I felt like I got punched
crazy.
in the gut. So we're seeing the journalist. I did wonder if the journalists survived, but they probably got pulled inside their press passes. And so they're immediately talking about this horrible attack from the Gormans. Yeah. These lost Imperial heroes were still doing the death toll. It is a scene sorry, my eyes are watering.
It's good. It's like this is what I said last episode of when I don't like this show is because it's being predictable, and I love the show when it's being surprising. This is surprising. This you would not have guessed. This is how this episode would end.
No,
it's so good.
It's a scene of Cyril's mom.
Yeah, watching
the broadcast. She's got two friends with her who are like holding her hands, and she's crying watching the TV because
her son lives there. Like, there's a good chance he got caught in the crossfire.
And he did.
This is, like, multiple people. Like, the most wretched character, other than maybe the guy who tries to force himself on Bix.
You're going to rank her that high.
But a lot of people, people often joked about this is the most evil character in Andor. It's a joke, but, like, this is a character is, like, terrorizing Cyril, is, like, the worst kind of mother. And her crying is like heartbreaking. Like, it really brings things into sorry, I'm totally blanking on my word. It is just heartbreaking. It's horrifying. There's a particular word I'm trying to pull out. It is a tragedy that she has been so bought into the narrative, the propaganda. She did try to convince Cyril to come home, though. And no matter how evil he was, no matter how horrible she is, this woman lost her son, and she's heartbroken. She genuinely loved him.
And apparently she's got a brother who's in jail, and there's no father in the picture. It's pretty much them.
Yeah, it was the only person she had in the world, and she didn't know how to express her love. She was really bad at it. But... like, see, this is again, Andor is so good about bringing things down to a character level.
And no dialogue still. And no dialogue from her.
The fact that these last two scenes are us showing two wretched characters as humans and to show their humanity. Phenomenal storytelling.
Showing women as human?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. It's just, it ends.
So good.
It's just.
And like that could have very well been the end of an arc. And the fact that there's another episode is wild.
No.
And so the next episode is it's very much connected to this, but it's a very different shift. We're all Coruscant.
And also one thing that is really prevalent through those last couple episodes is, and I think it's replaced by the Imperial broadcast, is the rebels on Gorman are broadcasting out on their own radio.
Oh, sure.
They are pleading and begging for help.
It feels very reminiscent of the end of Last Jedi. Of just this kind of like hopeless broadcasting out for help and getting no response.
But they're like, the Empire is slaughtering us. Yep. It's awful. The Empire is the bad guys.
Yes,
because
undeniably.
Apparently it's just, so you have this like, it's the desperation too. Mm-hmm. It's like, it is the desperation of the rebels, and then the shot of Deidre, who is crashing out in her safe room, and then Cyril's mom. It's one of those things where it's like it hits in. It's like everyone is a victim of the Empire in one way or another.
So true.
So
we jump to Coruscant.
Fun fact. So the intro. So in the first season of Andor, the intros are always a little bit different. Mm-hmm. There's a chorus in this intro, and they're singing in Gore.
Yep.
Or it's just like
Gorman
it's just
anthem.
It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, anyways, if you forgot.
Yeah. So we cut in on Mothma.
In the Senate house.
They're implying that she's going to give some sort of speech to counteract. Pretty much, the Empire and everyone in the Senate is very much convinced by the Imperial narrative that the Gormans started a fight.
Bad.
That they're insurrectionists. That they opened fire on the Imperials. That there's nothing good coming from there.
It's her and Bale. So we do get to see Bale. Actually, I like this actor's portrayal of
He's
Bale.
killing it.
He's killing it.
Great. It's
So
a great choice.
They're talking about this speech in the Senate House. It's late at night, and then sorry, did I cut you off?
Well, I was just setting up that because there's a lot of there's a lot of dialogue, and we're really kind of jumping in the action. So you have to kind of if you try to describe it in order, it'd be hard to summarize it easily. You kind of have to summarize it in one big whole, which is we learn from this information that Mothma is planning on giving a speech to contradict the official Imperial report, and pretty much Mothma is trying to convince Bale that this is the time for action. Like we've come to a line of like this, we've crossed the final line, and Bale for himself he says not yet. Bale says Yavin is still building. We need to build that up. I need to buy time. But it's time for you. You're going to do what you're going to do. And he's supporting her in that. But then as soon as you make the speech, you got to go.
Yeah.
You can't trust. You can't trust anyone. I have a team that will take you off planet. So that's kind of the first scene is what we're setting up the conflict for this episode.
One thing that was interesting is while this is happening, there's a commotion. The senator for Gorman is being arrested and detained by Imperial agents, and he's yelling, and one thing he said, like he's like, this is not right, and he makes a comment where he's yelling Gorman is being slaughtered, and it was a shot of him, and the shot cuts to Bale, and what he says next is, it's my people today and yours tomorrow. And the scene holds on Bale, and spoilers for A New Hope. It was Bale's in about 2 years. He would all of Alderaan. I was like, oh, it was chilling,
Yeah, and then we get some drama around a listening device found in Mon Mothma's office.
A different senator, which made them sweep hers.
Yes. And on the one hand, it feels like a lot of time spent on this. They find like they should not be shocked that they're being spied on. Like they seem so surprised. And it's like, yeah, I know this means it might be hard for you to find a safe place to speak openly, but like, why would you assume? I would 100% assume that they have like 8 bugs.
We have 2 devices probably listening to us right now. 2 is our phone. Maybe the third is my air purifier. I don't know.
She destroys it, which I think on the one hand shows that Mothma is kind of acting on emotion now.
I think it was very impulsive.
But and I think it's very stupid. I think it's very, very stupid to do because it draws attention to the fact that they're listening to you, which you never want them to like.
So dumb.
Because
but you know what? We can't have everyone be perfect.
I think this actually may have been in a brief scene in a previous episode where they land at the Senate and the driver says to them, are you done for the day? Where are you going next? And she's like, we're probably going to stay here. We'll walk if we go somewhere else. And they walk away and she says to her assistant, remind me to fire our driver. And he says, don't do that. The ISB might send someone intelligent.
Yeah.
Which really sets up the idea that while Mothma is so smart and so brave for everything she's doing, she's not very strategic. Like, yeah, of course you don't fire your driver. For. Yeah, exactly. And this all sets up an element later, which we'll later figure out that Mothma's assistant has actually been working for Luthen since the wedding to protect her.
Erskine, that's his name.
And
he's
she
in
gets
Rebels.
so mad, but like, yes, I know that Luthen can be kind of shady sometimes, and it is kind of strange that Erskine working with Luthen would be a secret, but like, don't be mad at him. Like, you clearly need it. You clearly are not very good at this rebel stuff. Like, you're good at the politics side, but you are not good at everything else.
Yeah, so she goes to practice her speech outside. Luthen.
I want to say one more thing about the bugging subplot. I don't like that it spends so much time on it because we shouldn't be surprised, but what I do like about it is there are so many little buttons and knobs involved. They keep doing these close-ups on both Erskine doing the scanning, but also on the ISB side of like their panel. And like, I just love that they built this thing. I said last episode that I loved when what's her name? Man, did I not write it down? Sorry, I'm not looking at the list of names. Clea, when she's doing the like listening in on stuff, I love her console. I love that we get to see it. I just love that they take the time. It's so nerdy, but to take the time to do close-ups of all the different pieces of technology and like the indicator that the listening device went down, and that we see them go through the process. They don't just immediately. Most other stories would have them go immediately, oh, she must have destroyed it. They show the process of them being like, nope, this is not broken.
The
nope.
IT.
They show the IT.
So funny for me.
It's
where they're
so
like,
good.
well, I don't think it's on our side, and they
It's
call in
so
someone else.
Funny.
Well, it's not on our side, and it's implied that this is over the course of all night.
That's true.
That they're determining.
That's so true.
Well, we don't think it's on our side. So, look, sometimes you gotta have the dumb Imperial agents every now and then.
I think there's another thing that happens later that enforces this. We're really seeing that the Empire is getting tripped up by its own red tape.
Yes.
That its own bureaucracy, its own formal processes are stopping them from... It slows them down. That is what allows the rebels to stay 1 or 2 steps ahead, because they have to go through all these processes to achieve their goals.
Yep. And so, I had this conversation with Luthen where Luthen is like, you have to trust me, and Mon Mothma's like, I don't trust you. It's this back and forth bickering. Well, it's again about this speech, and Luthen says, we have to get you out of here. And he says, Bail Organa's team is corrupted. Yep. So this team that Bail is wanting to use to get her out of there, he says it's corrupted. He's like, you can only trust me. And she's like, well, how can I trust you? Because blah, 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 blah. It's just this conversation, and that's when it's revealed that Erskine, her assistant, is from him. Yep. She's pissed. She comes back, and actually by the time she comes back, it's morning.
And another important element of this conversation is that we incorrectly deduced last episode, it's kind of just misremembering a conversation. They did not actually talk about Tay.
No, they did not talk about Tay.
Her banker friend who we presumed Luthen killed.
He did not survive that car ride home.
They do
yes.
finally discuss it here. And it is pretty much in an element of Mothma just throwing all of the reasons she doesn't trust Luthen. Because she's a very powerful moment. She says, I'm more afraid of you than I am of the ISB right now.
Yeah.
Which is a wild thing to say. Like, I think this is a very interesting characterization of Mon Mothma. In this whole sequence, we get to see her out of her element.
Yeah.
That when she's actually... This whole time, she's actually been very safe. I am not like criticizing her, but she's been very safe. She does not have to deal with the actual fallout of her actions. Like she's been so good at her job that they've avoided actually having to deal with problems other than like spying. But once there's actually physical threat, that there's actually the time has come where there's actually it's action time. She's very frazzled. She doesn't know what to do. If it wasn't for Luthen in later Andor, she would have been screwed. Like she would have, and like, yeah, of course you trust Bail, but again, Bail's a senator. Luthen is a spy. Luthen is an on the boots on the ground guy. It is interesting that she almost screws this up. It's fascinating.
And there's also shots back and forth from her driver to whoever he's reporting to. He's like, she didn't. Oh yes, they're still there. And so I do find that interesting. Like the bungling of the Empire IT.
Yep.
Of that, she hasn't come back, and no one making the connection to her listening devices. I thought it was a little funny. So she fires Erskine. Erskine leaves. It's daytime at this point. It's the day of her speech. There is a funny comment. So the plan is, because she's not scheduled to speak. They have basically the Emperor or whoever's in charge. Well, it's the Empire. They have set the agenda. They will only talk about a few things, and the speakers are planned.
Yep.
Interesting. I had to laugh because before the senators are going up to their little pods, Bail says to Mon Mothma, "Tear the shit out of this place," which is the third time Andor has used that word. FYI.
Sorry, who says that? I forgot who said that.
Bail says it.
Right.
Bail says, "Tear the shit out of this place."
So good.
That's the plan. The other side is that we've had a meeting between Luthen, Clea, Erskine and Andor. And so Andor is again going to be this journalist, and he's going to sneak in, and he is supposed to be the one to sneak out Mon Mothma. So, and the plan is to get her out by the loading docks. They're going to leave. They can't use her driver. Erskine is fired. They're kind of bickering back and forth, really, because they're like, we don't have a lot of time. How are we going to get her out? And we also have this other team to deal with from Bail that's allegedly corrupted. What do we do? So the next kind of scenes are just kind of like setups.
Yep. It is building tension at this point. Like, we know Mothma's going to try to give her speech. We know that as soon as they figure out what's happening, they're going to try to shut it down because they're on to her doing something suspicious. Andor's trying to get in to save her. It's just building tension. It's just like masterclass in building tension. It's so incredible.
And so we see Andor is getting he's with Erskine because he doesn't know the Senate building.
Oh, yeah.
So he's able to get in on his press pass, and it's funny because the guy in charge is like, well, you're not assigned a spot for the mid-rim network, so you're just going to have to float around, that's just really funny. I have another friend who will probably enjoy this aspect.
I mean, I went to journalism school. I think the idea of using your press credentials to get where you shouldn't be is great.
Hey, isn't that what it's for? Haha. Don't take legal advice from us. So they're going up to like Mon Mothma's area, and then we see this team of 3 of Bail Organas, and so they know the air, like they know the room. They split off. There's a guy who's supposed to hang out, and it's almost like a viewing area. I guess it's where the rest of the press watches.
Sure.
That's the idea I'm getting, just taking notes of the journalist. He hangs out there, and another guy, I didn't write down their names because they don't matter. They go off and they grab a supply cache. The gal she calls, and the guy she calls is the on-call admiral supervisor for the surveillance room, which is also dealing with Mon Mothma's driver and also dealing with the still broken listening device that they have not yet determined to have been broken purposefully, which I just, it dragged on. I just thought it was funny. So she tries calling him, she calls in. And so that's like where this corruption, that there is a corruption, but she stopped.
It confirms that Luthen was right, that there was someone as a spy in Bail's team, and that's why they couldn't be trusted. Yeah. She was totally right.
Yeah, and she gets caught. She gets found out. Kills the second helper. Goes on her own. So
there's 3 of them. They're separated. She kills one.
She kills the one,
and then goes and teams up with the other. And is like, "Where's the other guy? He said to go meet you." Yeah.
So, who it is? And so
another very, like, in the middle of all this tension, they find a great, very funny moment that also kind of is the flip side of this, which is the ISB sends someone to shut down Mothma's.
Not yet. Okay. Not yet. Because while this is happening, Bail starts yapping. Because he goes, right. I know we have an agenda.
You're right.
But this senator, who also seemed to kind of be in cahoots, used the word emergency. Sorry, I'm getting into the weeds on this. Used the word emergency.
This is what the Star Wars prequels wanted to do, was like show us the intricacies of the political system, but never did it in an interesting way. But this is actually showing how,
so smart.
On the one hand, you have guys like Andor having to
brute
play.
Force.
Well, like they have to change characters. They have
flexible.
To disguise. They have to sabotage. They have to assassinate people. But on the other side, you have guys like Mothma and Bail who have to play within the system and use the system against the Empire. So that's I think the clever use. Yeah, you see in the weeds, but that's the whole point of this scene.
Yeah.
So please continue.
So yeah, he's like, well, this senator used the word emergency, and according to bylaw, whatever, that means the other side has to be heard or something like that. It's some weird.
It was a rule that, like, in the case of an emergency, anyone can call upon any senior senator to give a message.
It's a loophole.
And she's used the word emergency multiple times, and no one has raised any has not disagreed with that at all. So clearly that means we're all in agreement that this is an emergency. So that means I'm going to instate this, and please, Mon Mothma, come out here and tear the Emperor a new one.
Up. And wow, what a speech.
It's great.
It's a I don't have, it's so good. So Mon Mothma starts talking, and right out of the gate, she's calling it for what it is. She's like, this is a lie. We've been told a lie. She calls it straight out. She says, this is, she called it perpetrated genocide or something like. She said genocide.
Yep.
And so the more she talks, the more everyone is upset. And this is what counts in the poor TV broadcast guy, because the ISB surveillance is like, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. And the ISB, this is more the bureaucratic red tape.
Yep.
Not because the broadcast guy goes to the closet where the shutdown is, and he goes, why is it locked? And these two technicians are like,
he says, why is it locked? They say it's supposed to be, and he said it hasn't been locked all year, and they said, yeah, we know, we fixed it. And he's like, what?
And it was like last week or something too. And so there's this scramble to get her shut down. And
I want to focus on this scene because I love that in the midst of all this, it is so funny. The technicians say to him, you need the sequence key. And he says, so let's have it. And they say, we took it up to the security office yesterday. So he sprints off, and then they give each other this knowing look. They are very clearly, if not directly aligned with the rebellion, they know what's going on. And they are like this little bit of help. It goes back to what I keep saying about the little guy being the point of Andor, that this little bit, because to jump ahead, that he ends up shutting it off right as she finishes. If they had not helped that little bit, she would have got cut off too early, because the last couple words are super important.
And the thing that I noticed immediately is the music playing during this scene is the same. I'm guessing it's a reprise. It is the same melody during Marva's eulogy.
Nice.
In the end of season 1, when she is calling the Ferrex people to action against the Empire. It's the same. It's not the exact same. It's similar. It's that theme. And I'm like, to quote, I'm losing my shit. Because I'm like, because that's my favorite track, probably in Star Wars of all time. It's in my top 10 probably every year. I love it. It's a beautiful piece of music. So, one of the things that she said, the death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil, which is, it's a very powerful monologue. And I've actually seen a lot of people on Twitter who are like, oh, this is so correct to current events. And the only foray I'll get into this is that Star Wars has always been anti-overarching government, regardless of who it is, just throwing that out there. But I centered on this because for our faith, it is. When people are avoiding the truth of, we believe that is God.
Yep.
Through Jesus. The truth of, I'll just say Christianity as a whole, evil wins. Yep. When that truth is misplaced. So anyways, I centered in on that. That's my faith contribution to our podcast.
I think on the larger real life implications, what she says is that there's become an abyss between truth and what is being said, or what is being believed. And she says, when that happens, whatever monster screams the loudest is in control.
Yeah.
And that leads into the ultimate purpose of the speech. She says, and the monster screaming the loudest, the one that we helped create is Emperor Palpatine. The monster who will soon come for us all.
And that's, after she says that is when they shut it off. And the Senate chamber, they are jeering her. They are yelling at her. And they've drank the Kool-Aid. Yep. They've bought into the anti-Gorman propaganda for the last couple years. And so they are jeering. And she's quietly, the pod goes back into the slot. Andor's waiting. Beautiful. An amazing
And my
speech.
thought was, as it pulls out, it's the exact same Senate chambers from the prequels.
Yes. And
with the floating pods and everything.
And one thing I forgot to say is that this was an early session, and it's noted they always call an early session when they want to talk about important things because there's less people that come.
Yeah. her speech ends, it's so incredible. This whole, funny enough, we're only halfway through the episode.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I'm looking at the time frame. It's exactly halfway through. It's insane that I think anytime we cut to the Senate in the prequels, I feel like, especially like once you get to episode 3, the audience just groans. Just like it's like the worst part of the prequels. Mm-hmm. We don't want to see more of the Senate. This room is boring. Mm-hmm. Anything that happens here is boring. It sucks. Yeah. But they've managed to turn around and make this an incredible scene. Like gosh. Now the Senate, between this and that great scene from Bad Batch season 2.
I was gonna say, yeah, Bad Batch has a good Senate.
Disney's
scene.
Star Wars has totally revived the Senate as a place where things connect, like interesting sequences can happen.
I was just thinking that because Senator Chuchi has a really good point too about the clones' rights. I that's kind of what it is. I was just thinking that's a good scene too. Anyways. Beautiful scene. Mothma serving as always. Bail is reveling in the silence. He doesn't say anything, but he's
This is also a good time to just come back around to. I was talking with Allison this week about the actress who plays Mothma,
Genevieve O'Reilly.
This has been talked to death probably, but I just want to bring it up again. The fact that she was cast as Mothma for episode 3 back in 2005, and her scenes were deleted, and that is the only reason 20 years later she is still playing Mothma is because she was cast 20 years ago. The fact that paid off.
Oh my god!
And she is like, you wouldn't want anyone else.
I would probably say alongside Andor, she is the other face of this show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just crazy that she is only playing this role because, like,
I love this already for her. I love this
yet,
for her.
Like, you would think this was the most incredible acting or casting choice ever.
It's beautiful.
It just is like sheer luck. I think like, because it was such a small role. Even if she was in episode 3, like the deleted scenes were included, it still would have been tiny.
Yeah, minuscule, because it was about Padme.
Exactly. And so the fact that just like this, and then like she's obviously like developed as an actress over 20 years. Yes. It's just so happened that she's turned out to be an incredible actress.
And they brought her back for Rogue One.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh, we're going to do an Andor show."
That was the great choice, is bringing her back for Rogue One, because they didn't have to. I mean, they maybe did. Maybe it was totally contractually obligated. I'd be really curious to hear what went into that. Was it contract? Did they have her? Did they audition for the role and she won the role through auditioning? Like, what got her the role in Rogue One? And it's just...
I probably bet at that point it might have been a potential I could have seen them go, hey, the person who was Mon Mothma is still around. She's still an actress. Let's see if she wants to do it, but let's have her do an audition just in case. It could have been that. So anyways, it's an amazing scene. If you love monologues, Andor is always dropping bomb monologues. From Marva's eulogy to Luthen's monologue in season 1 to this. It's just so great. I would love to see some theater kids like kind of pull some of these for their monologues. Anyways, so she retreats quietly back into her little office, and she comes out, and Cassian's there. He's waiting. Mm-hmm. And he kind of plays up the whole journalist, and she's like, she's really spooked because she's still distrustful of Luthen. She needs to get out. She knows she's not safe, and she's like, she has a choice to make between Luthen or Bail's team. And so one thing Luthen had said to her is that the person I send to you is going to say, I have friends everywhere. And that's what he says to her. And so they go down. But
he really has to convince her. That is not enough. He talks about Yavin.
He says he was on Gorman.
Yeah. He really throws out, he really starts pulling out his credentials for who he is. And it
does he say something about Ferrix?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Now, Luthen later brings up, he lists all the planets. But they get off the elevator, and I think Mon Mothma's still not sure necessarily, but Bail's crew, 2 people show up.
Yes, and they're in this kind of like viewing little lobby area.
And they try to take her. Who is her assistant again? Erskine cuts in, and I just love how this is the worst ISB agent ever.
It is, because she immediately goes, she pulls a gun. This is an ISB arrest.
The moment things did not go according to plan, she just pulls a gun and just like, not only pulls a gun, but she like does a 180 degrees against everyone.
Callus would never.
It's so dramatic.
That was a joke.
And so Andor just pops her.
He does.
But after
Erskine
just goes, she's a rebel spy! And it causes her to turn towards him, and he just pops her. It's so good.
Andor shoots her, and the other... I felt bad for this other guy on Bale's team because he's very much not involved. He's like, he's a little startled, and so I really thought Andor was going to pop him too.
Yep.
But he makes him get on his knees. Erskine tells them to go. He's like, I'll handle this. I'm like, what is he... How... I'm almost kind of like, how is Erskine going to handle this? But so... And Mon Mothma and Andor go on a chase around the Senate building because they're trying to lock it down. The Empire's trying to lock it down, arrest her. They're probably going to execute her,
and she is
Yeller style
very
screen.
Shook by this.
She's like, you shot her.
Yeah, it really shows how little, if any, direct. She's had very little direct exposure to the actual rebellion, and he says straight to her, "Welcome to the rebellion."
Yes, he does. He says, "Welcome
really,
to the rebellion,"
straight up calls it out.
Which I think he says something similar to Jin in Rogue One,
probably.
So, anyways, they do they go up and down so many steps. They're running around. They're trying to avoid people. Erskine does make it out somehow. I don't know how he convinced everyone around him just pretend that man didn't shoot her. I don't know. Whatever. Yep. It's not important.
Mothma's driver has been listening to the whole thing,
yes.
and for some reason felt personally compelled to go do something about it.
Yes.
And he approaches them, and it's really great. Andor's so good. I love how quick on his feet he is. He goes, "What's his name?"
They couldn't go through the loading docks.
Yeah. Pretty much, she says, that's my driver. And Andor says, "Can we trust him?" And she's like, "No, he's an ISB agent." And he's like, "What's his name?"
It's like Krios or something.
Let me see. I got it here. Just give me a second. What's his name? Chloris. And he goes, Chloris! And he's like, "Who are you?" And he just shoots.
He goes, "Chloris, we got her!"
Oh,
like
that's right.
He was working with ISB and then just guns him down in broad daylight.
Good.
And I felt bad for Mothma too because, like I said, she's not very exposed to this. So she's watched two people just get murked by the person who's supposed to be saving her. They go down, they get in the car, and they book it.
It's really funny that Mothma has dealt theoretically with all of Luthen's minions who she knows are killing people, his assassins and spies. Yeah. But the moment she actually has to deal with one, it's Andor, the most brutal of them all. He's just not even hesitating.
No, he's like,
it's so good that she has to finally confront. It's so good.
So they escape and this was the point of the episode where I'm like, okay, what else can we show? I was really hoping for a Ghost Crew, Ghost Squad mentioned because, I mentioned this earlier. So this ties in directly to Rebels Season 3, Episode 18, where the Ghost Crew has to take Mon Mothma to Gold Squad to get to Yavin 4 because she made a speech in the Senate that the Empire didn't like, and she's on the run. That is crazy how this massive show ties directly into this this plot that maybe almost seems like a one-off thing in Rebels, but it ties it in.
I'm now realizing I like this show a lot, but if it was actually good, then K2SO would have shown up with Andor and would have been slinging people left and right, just
throwing ISB agents,
just totally indiscriminately to senators, Erskine, just whoever, just off, and Mon Mothma by accident.
So yeah, it ties directly into that, which I thought was actually a fun tie-in to kind of validate things that happened in Rebels without outwardly saying it, even though I would have loved a Ghost Squad reference. But whatever, it is what it is. Also, the height difference between Diego Luna and Genevieve O'Reilly is crazy.
Yeah.
I always thought she was 6'4". It's just the way she's shot, I think, that makes her seem really tall. But
that reminds me of it's gonna be the second week in a row I mentioned it. 2 weeks ago I was watching the movie Heat. Al Pacino. I knew in my head Al Pacino was famously short, but I forgot because the way they shoot him the whole movie make him look tall. He also has a lot of height added because of his hair in that movie. Then there's a shot through a door. You see him quickly park a car and get out, but you don't know it's him in that moment. It looked like a child running around, and I was like, Oh yeah, Al Pacino's super short. Like you see him from a distance the first time. I thought it was a kid. So it really is a good example. Just like, yeah, the way they shoot actors can really influence your perspective of their height or not.
Here's the big question. What's going to happen to Perrin after this? Her husband.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that since the last arc. Yeah, I was like, she's just going to leave.
She did. She left him.
He's going to be like, oh no. Anyways.
Well, I guess the assumption is that she, because I don't know if the Empire would broadcast that she got out, but at some point it would be a situation where she's with the rebellion. So my thoughts are, he's cleaning out the bank accounts and he's going back home to Chandrila. Maybe they arrest him and he gets absolutely
You know what?
thrown
That's
off.
a good point.
He gets thrown out under the bus for things he had no idea about.
That's true. Yep. He gets to be the scapegoat.
No.
So the next scene after they
Mon Mothma,
escape.
go get your trophy husband.
So this is the ultimate example of what I was talking about earlier of being very prequel-y stuff. We get the introduction of this guy. You have to remind him his name.
That's Melshi.
This whole scene.
No,
what is the point of this scene?
This is one of the scenes where I was kind of like, I didn't quite understand this. So Melshi is in Rogue One and also from Narkina 5. So that was his origin.
To take a quick step back, it's new recruits being brought to the base on Yavin. They've established this earlier. When you show up, you have to like give up all your stuff. You have to check in. You kind of have to go through a screening process.
The way it skipped, I thought I was like, man, we're just going to skip to Mon Mothma getting there already.
Oh, that's what I thought too. I thought they were going to do a shot of her arriving with the rest of the scumbums, the riffraff.
Scumbum.
And no, so Vel picks up a gun. So what does she see? There's something about this gun that stands out.
No idea.
We'll need to find an explanation about this for next week. There's something about this gun. There's like a marking on the gun. There's something that makes it stand out to her. I don't know what. Oh, do you know what? Is it? No. Is it possible it was Andor's blaster and he gave it to him?
Oh, do you think it could be like a Narkina 5 symbol?
I'd say I don't know. But so it's a blaster. She goes, whose blaster is this?
No, she goes, who belongs to this?
Well.
She's had some really weird dialogue, and I didn't talk about this earlier. And it was like, I think in episode 8, she visits Bix and is like, basically was like, oh, I'll summarize it. Andor's up for promotion. He's really important to us. He should stick around. That's basically what it was.
Yep.
But Bix says hello, and she just goes, and you. I'm like, who? What? What kind of weird Chandrilan dialogue's going on here?
So it's a reveal because it shows a shot of these guys and his hand comes up from the back and it like turns around and shows him. Mm-hmm. This is not like the audience has been waiting around for him to show up. I like the idea that
I do think we probably have been wondering where is Melshi?
Like I like the idea of like this is a character from Rogue One. He meets Andor by escaping the prison together. I like all that. That's all very organic. I even was like in this moment excited, like, oh, the reunion between them.
Yeah.
It's also kind of exciting because Andor is lacking a connection to the rebellion. But this scene itself just exists for them to reveal this character that again no one is waiting around. It reveals it like it's like like Saw Gerrera or something, but it's no one important. And it really interrupts the flow of the episode.
Yeah, because it immediately skips to...
It goes back to Mon Mothma and Andor.
And they're going to that apartment that Luthen owns or whatever.
Exactly. Like, you cut that scene out, nothing changes, the flow is better.
Yeah.
Andor's been so good about not doing this annoying prequel-y stuff, and then these 3 episodes, it's been scattered throughout. It's really bummed me out.
Dan Gilroy who did these ones.
Which is the brother of the writer of the show.
So, yeah, I don't know. That was interesting. But so they come to this apartment. So you have Andor, Clea, Mon Mothma, and Erskine. We did see Erskine again. Erskine, you can't get rid of him. Mon Mothma is not as mad to see him this time around. She's still a little shaken up.
Well, because he committed. He showed that he was not... and also, earlier, just to give context to that, Mon Mothma said to him, like, I've never felt this great of a sense of betrayal to him.
Yeah.
Which is wild, but it just showed her emotional state. But she's really now getting to see the rebellion in action. The rebellion she's been helping to build is coming around and helping her. And I think she's not used to not being in control. She's not used to being the one who's being dragged along rather than being the main person.
Mm-hmm. So
did they redesign the inside of this apartment? I don't remember it being this white. Like I think it's funny the idea of Luthen doing like interior design,
landlord
like,
special. He just paints over all the outlets in the cabinets.
Nice.
Maybe, but so so they go there first, I guess, kind of recuperate. And so we see Willman again. Willman has made it off Gorman with his new blonde girlfriend, 2.0, and he's injured. He's not doing well. They're like, he needs a doctor. It just kind of was like, okay.
They go to Yavin with him.
And
we're flying around in a U-Wing. It's great to have the U-Wing back.
And so it's Mon Mothma, Erskine go with Clea because they're going to get passed off to one team who will pass them off to the Ghost Crew, who will then pass them off to Gold Squadron to get to Yavin, which I thought was, when I think about it, it's kind of a convoluted way to do that. But I think they were trying to make. They mentioned they wanted her to come with an escort, so I think they're trying to make it a big deal.
Sure.
Capitalized.
I think I had this thought earlier of, I think what they're kind of building up in this episode is the rebellion is forming. They have their base in Yavin. They're becoming more organized, which was obviously a big problem. Previously was that they're not majorly organized, and now they need a leader.
They have a spokesperson.
Like, that is why Mon Mothma is important, because because Mothma, what we're seeing here, she's not a strategician, she's not a soldier. Why do you need Mothma? You need someone who can like rally people. Like, you need to. She's kind of the final ingredient to make the rebellion complete. Is you need someone like her, a very charismatic, pure person. She's so pure, and I think she would be able to. She brings a lot because you need that person. Because Luthen's great at his job, but people don't trust him because he's shady.
So I saw a comment because the next time we see Mon Mothma canonically is when she's in Rebels, when she looks very similar to the Rogue One appearance with the very short hair, but she's wearing a similar outfit, so it's connected. So someone said, because obviously she's got this beautiful voluminous haircut, that they're envisioning that in trying to be some form of incognito, Erskine had to give her a awful bob cut on the way, which is probably not true, but funny to think about.
And the rest of the episode is really just Andor trying to convince Bix to run away with him.
Yes.
He's kind of just like they've been building this up through various interactions.
He's done at least.
Yeah. And they've been building it up that he's just done. He can't do it anymore.
He's like, I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
She knows that they need him. And so she actually leaves in the middle of the night and leaves a heartbreaking voice message, specifically because she says, when this is all done, we can do all the things we wanted to do. It's like, well, guess what?
She says, I'll find you. And I did not like this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
This felt cheap for her character.
Yeah.
Now, it's not like I wanted her to get killed for Andor's like character development, because that's called fridging, and we don't like that.
Yes.
We don't like that for our female characters. I've talked about how I hate it a lot. It just felt I was like, what did Vel say to you off camera?
Yeah.
It just felt really weird. It's almost like we didn't want to. So maybe she'll come back in a year. I don't know, but she can't. She's not around for Rogue One. It just felt a cheap way to end her character. And I think if you think about it, she's gone through all this psychological trauma from season 1, nearly raped in the first arc, killed the guy who tortured her, and then just left.
Yeah, I think cheap is a pretty good word. I think especially in a show like Andor, any sort of easy out, because the show is often so well written, so character driven, so compelling, any sort of lacking element really stands out because the rest of the show is so good. So like bad or not so good, not so well thought out elements of the show oftentimes grate worse because the rest of the show, it's a small rough spot because the show is so smooth so frequently.
Yeah, I was trying to. I saw a tweet about it that I thought kind of described it in a better way than I view. But either way, I for someone whose kind of whole character was I want to stay with you and do this no matter what. Yeah. For her to leave was kind of weird. I think I saw someone describe it is in that she is giving up her own personal wants for the rebellion, which is kind of, I guess, supposed to inspire Cassian to do it. I actually personally thought this could have gone totally wrong, where he just could have left and gone to find her. That's true. You had a lot of faith that he wasn't going to come find you.
Yeah, and I get the idea. What she says is, I can't stand us being together if I knew I was the reason that you left. And I can understand that idea of like, it would be very difficult to live a life. I mean, I think it'd be very difficult having been in the fight to go off and just hide from it.
Yeah, what if she went to go work for Luthen directly?
Yeah.
I feel like
I think that would have worked better. Is like, we're going to separate. We're both going to stay in the fight. We're going to separate. And yeah, her just leaving him, making this quote unquote noble sacrifice. I think you're right. I am all for surprising, even anticlimactic endings. You know, like I said with Cyril, I love Cyril's ending because it's so abrupt, but it also fit the character. It also fit, even though it wasn't necessarily what the show is building towards, quote unquote. I think that works. I love Snoke's death. I think that's really in Last Jedi. I'm all for surprising, unexpected things. This feels a bit like a cop-out. Like, this is a very standard way to end this kind of story, is to have the love interest sacrifice their relationship so they can go off for the greater good. I don't find it nearly as compelling as the rest of the show.
It doesn't feel very much like her character.
So,
considering the whole ending of season 1 was "I'll find you."
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, I guess it ties back. It just, I was like, weird.
And there's still 3 more episodes.
It made me sad, though.
It is sad. I do like how it even plays out, how it informs the next scene. So the last scene is they've put what we now know as K2SO back together, and they have no idea. The whole thing, these droids are unstoppable Terminators. If we turn this thing on and we were wrong, we didn't reprogram it correctly, it's just going to kill everyone here.
We die.
And Andor just like grabs a gun, and they keep telling him like, step back, put on some goggles, be safe. He's like, no, just turn it on. It shows how reckless he's immediately crashing out.
Like,
my girlfriend left. I have nothing to live for. I do kind of find that compelling, is that regardless of what happened with Bix, the fact that he is just like now just not even,
he's fully dedicated to the cause.
He's not even dedicated to the cause. He almost like wants to die at this point.
Let me die.
And of course, K2SO's first lines are great. He's like, if I did something to offend you, I'm sorry, but if not, please don't point that gun at me. It's so good.
Broke up with girlfriend, got new robot friend.
It only took a season and 3/4, but K2SO is finally here.
Another friend of mine, I was asked, like, have you been keeping up with Andor? And they're like, no, I haven't. They've been having a hard time.
Oh, I thought that was your response. I thought they asked you if you were keeping up, and you said, no, not really.
No, they were talking about, they're like, I really only like K2SO, so I might watch it for him. And I just had to be on. I'm like, can I tell you something about it? Do you care about spoilers? They're like, no. And I said, K2SO has gotten maybe 5 minutes of screen time just in this episode, or last 2 episodes. And they're like, dang it. Because they're like, that's what I'd watch it for. And I'm like, well.
When they announced he wasn't in it early, back before season 1, I was bummed. But you know what? The show's been great. He's finally here. They have a lot of room to make. I hope he's like super prevalent. He's got to be a main character. He's around now.
Main character energy. But so yeah, some moments in this arc that were kind of like, Overall, I think it's my favorite so far. Like, the big moments hit big.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a big fan of ladies giving good speeches. That's my first.
Yeah, I mean, the main actors really get to shine. There's some incredible sequences, like the action. Oh my gosh! We last week we kind of not really complained, but it wasn't much action in the last 3 episodes. Tony
Gilroy said, "Put on your seatbelts."
So yeah, I do have a few other complaints overall. I think so. I talked about the prequel-y stuff being kind of annoying. This is not a complaint, but like, so they just abandon B2 Emo.
Yeah, he's
now
gone.
Andor is just moving on to another droid best friend. He's just getting another one to replace him. I honestly thought it was possible that they might put B2 Emo's personality.
I saw that too.
That would have been kind of cool, but it's fine. My actual complaint:
B2 Emo, Brasso is dead. Everyone else is gone.
Yep.
So he's just there by himself. No friends. Andor is a terrible droid owner.
I think retroactively, now we're 75% of the way through the season, I do think too much happens in these 1 year jumps. Yeah.
It's like the climax of a whole year of stuff.
Like Cinta's injury that she references in the last, like that's a huge important for her character.
I wondered if that was related.
No idea what that is. I mean, it could be, but we don't know.
To
it's very possible.
I'm like, maybe they did an actual car crash and she was injured.
Like Andor's injury was off screen. Andor's relationship to Luthen is totally degraded between arc 2 and 3. We don't see that. But both like him working for Luthen, Because like I feel like the whole point of the first season was Andor committing to working with Luthen, and then that happens between seasons.
I feel like
for the most part.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna see something in the next arc that explicitly says why Luthen is not "quote unquote" involved with the rebellion anytime passes. I'm guessing he probably dies.
Willman's relationships. He's had 2 relationships this season, and both have been very much off screen.
He's had more chemistry with Saw Gerrera in 15 minutes than he's had with either of these girls.
That's so true. It's so true. And Cyril's relationship to Gorman was mostly off screen. Like he spent 2 years there, and we barely got to see it. And that's a huge element of his character at the end is him willing to actually go against Deidre, and it all happened off screen. So I feel like I don't think it would have been a good idea to do a season per year. I think that would have been too slow. I think that would have been too drawn out.
6 episodes per year or something.
But I think they could have condensed down things. I just think there's too much that's being what would have presumably been developed. But then that means that like, okay, let's just say for a matter of fact that the seasons they would have done would have played out with what we're seeing. That means that we would have been on Gorman for 2 seasons.
Oh, I know.
Before
anything
actually happened. It just would have been it would have been
Cyril going to work and buying spiders for his mom.
And it would have been Willman's relationship with the one rebel, and it would have been Cyril's friendships with like it would have been like I'm sitting here complaining that we don't see it. I don't want to see a whole season of it, but like 10 minutes.
I bet we're probably going to get some comics or books or some kind of novellas for some of these in betweens. So
that's just my major complaint. But on the other hand, skipping all that allows us to see some real good.
Can you? Oh my gosh, I do like the releasing in 3 episodes.
Yes.
Choices. Can you? I feel like having to sit between episodes 7 and 8 for a week would have been rough. But having to sit with the Gorman massacre after episode 8 for a week.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think ultimately we complained a lot, but like releasing it in 3 episode arcs.
Complaining on this podcast.
I really enjoyed being able to really have an idea of it as a whole. Looking forward again every week. We have no idea where we're going next.
Mon Mothma slain at all times.
I really hope we don't get so much prequel-y stuff. And when I say prequel-y, I don't mean Star Wars prequel stuff specifically. I mean it's like things that are the cliche of prequels, setting things up that we already know are going to happen.
Maybe Melshi will have a bigger impact in the next 3 episodes, and that's why they went, hey, anyways.
Yeah, but it's like they don't have any problem dropping other characters in it with no introduction. Like we don't need that weird scene to just have him be there.
If anything, put it at the very end. Have the new recruits come in and then wake up K2SO.
That exactly, yeah. So K2SO stuff next episode is going to be exciting.
Maybe it was a mix-up in the editing, and the editor just never said anything, and they went, it looks good.
But next week's the last week. We have 1 more week of Month Door.
Oh, gosh.
And then I'll be on vacation. Quick update on that. We have not fully concluded our schedule going forward, but we do know that we will be doing Jurassic Park on June 4th. So get ready for that. We have to figure out how we're going to break up the Jurassic Park sequels after that. But that's the important episode, Jurassic Park. So Month Door will end.
Have you read the book?
No, I'm going to read it on vacation.
Do your homework.
I have 2 weeks of vacation. I need it after Month Door. It's a lot. So Month Door ends next week, and then we'll be on a break until June 4th.
We're taking a break.
And man, we're coming back hard, though. Coming back ready, roaring into Jurassic Park. Mostly bad, but I think we'll have fun. I think at the very minimum, Jurassic Park is fun to talk about. A lot of dinosaur talk.
Dinosaurs.
And then eventually Jurassic Park Rebirth on July 9th.
Is it Jurassic Park Rebirth or Jurassic World Rebirth?
Sorry, it is Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park Rebark.
At least I feel
Jurassic
like 2 and 3 are
Rebark?
far more fun to watch than 5 and 6.
Sorry, which ones are more
2
fun?
2 and 3 are far more fun to rewatch than 5 and 6.
It just gradually goes downhill.
Did we go see 6 in theaters together?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I barely remember it.
I just think it's dumb how they released it and then went, here's the director's cut 2 weeks later that you can buy on DVD for a random inclusion scene for... You know what? I'm going to save it.
Save it. We got let's do it. Meme minute, but it's longer than a minute. But is it longer than a meme parsec or a meme astrosecond? I've got like 2
I have
videos.
11.
Oh my god. Okay, give me 2. The Pope has fallen. I, Starscream, will now lead the Catholic Church. That's great. All for it. Very low effort meme. It's just that text on an image of Starscream, but you know what? It's still funny.
You know what? Yeah. All right. Before Andor, I hope there are lightsabers after Andor. Oh yeah, another Imperial Security Bureau scene, and it's sad. Shibu Inu and buff Doge dogs.
Good stuff. I'm all about it. Give me another one.
Oh, a third one.
Yes, you got a lot. I don't have as many.
Fans finishing the new Andor episode. Fans starting the new Andor episodes. I don't know what the source image of this is. It feels like a Goosebumps image, but it is 2 roller coasters passing each other at opposite sides.
The people about to start watching the episode are just normal people on a roller coaster.
And the people coming back are zombie skeletons, which is exactly how I felt texting you last night. When I was like, have you seen it yet?
It's great. Here's a video. The caption is, "Why does everyone in Star Wars just speak English?" And it's some rebel ships flying away from a planet, and then an Imperial Star Destroyer shows up, and this Union Jack is just over it.
And everyone speaks. Oh, I get it. Because it's the why do all these countries speak English? It's because of British colonial practices.
Oh, sorry. Okay. What else you got? Give me 2 more.
And it's Surreal Karn with the steel chair.
Now, I almost made that joke earlier, so that's a callback to all the wrestling memes from the end of Andor season 1 with the brick and now the chair. It's good. I like it. Give me another one.
I've hired this image to stare at you. And so when Surreal Karn first goes into the side room where these upper office people but not Imperials are hanging out, and it's the room full of K2S droids, one of them, which is going to be K2SO, you just know, turns its head and just stares at him.
Yep.
And it's just that screenshot. It's silent, it's funny. You know you're like, that's K2SO. It's just I've hired this K2SO to stare at you.
There's some joke about kids staring, like kids who just stare, like I hate that kids stare at me. I'm trying to remember what it is. Do you not know what I'm talking about?
I feel like I kind of know what you're talking about, but I don't know if I know enough to reference it. Kids when they see someone.
Oh, I now remember what it is. It's a joke from Clerks 2, and I'm not going to repeat it. Here's a video. May the Fourth be with me.
So you spent time at the Jedi Enclave on Dantooine? Oh, no, you didn't. You're just appropriating an ancient religious culture for your cheap little holiday. Yeah, what kind of sombrero and poncho you got picked out for tomorrow, scumbag?
Well, May 5th is Revenge of the 5th.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, give me 2 more.
Cassian having a tender moment alone on Yavin, struggling to find the will to fight after witnessing a genocide and potentially never seeing the love of his life again. Meanwhile, Mon Mothma on her side quest with the Ghost crew, and it's this superimposed image. Let me explain it. So the background is a screenshot from season 3, episode 18. So to get away from the Empire, the Ghost crew, they fly by this astral power source. I can't remember if it's a sun or a planet, but it's like basically a big geostorm, and they're able to go past it. The Empire ships behind it cannot, and they basically get fried. Their systems get fried electromagnetically. There is a picture of Genevieve O'Reilly from a Rogue One photo shoot superimposed over it, half transparent. And my favorite comment I saw about this was, this looks like an extended universe book cover.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
The person who made it, that was the goal.
Good, I love it. Here's an image. It's Tay getting on into the car with Senta.
Oh no.
And then it's the I don't know what country it's from, but Kenyan or Ugandan or Nigerian funeral where they dance with the coffin on them. They're getting in the car with Tay.
Oh, no.
Good.
Oh, no. The the immortal crumb in the air fryer that keeps getting cooked over and over. And it's fried Godzilla -1.
Yep. Give me another one.
My kidnapper's returning me after listening to me talk about Godzilla for 2 hours. It's the picture of that kid from
It's Ralphie getting thrown through the window.
I have 3 left.
Only in Star Wars can these two exist in the same universe. It's Luthen and the Frogman from Jedi Survivor.
Turgle. That's a real glup shitto. I cannot stand him. Everyone loves Turgle. I don't like Turgle. I have beef with him.
This okay, give me 3 more images.
These are my last 3.
Okay, give me 2 then.
Okay. This is that soy Doge, the sad Doge. Boys, damn, this shit's fire. It is a gasoline pump. Saw Gerrera and Willman for no reason before taking on the Empire. It's huffing fumes. Huffing gas fumes.
I think he's got a work cut out this week for censoring all these swears.
Okay, you said 2 more?
Yes.
Okay, you made this one. Oh no, Caleb made this one!
Yes,
Maybe I should save it for the end. I'll save it for the end.
Also, every swear is the same word this week.
Caleb did not make this one. We'll talk about the one Caleb contributed. This is just Return of the King title card, and then K2SO from the end of the episode. Nice. If not, I'd appreciate you pointing that elsewhere. So Return of the King.
So good. This is an image of Manila, Godzilla's son, and it just says, "Not a single thought behind those eyes." What's great, I think what's especially great about this is it was shared by the official Godzilla Toho account.
Page. I love their Instagram.
Big fan.
All right, my last meme. Our friend Caleb contributed to this. Well, he sent it to us. I don't know if he meant for it to get on the pod, but if I see a meme, I take it. Thank you. And so it is the clip from the first Avengers movie where Tony Stark is calling out the random guy on the battleship for playing Space Raiders.
Yes.
During the meeting. Well, it's captioned, "Rebels and robots posted 3 days late. He thought we wouldn't notice, but we did." And that is
calling me out.
Caleb calling out for posting.
I just forgot to hit post again. I had 2 last steps. Make a thumbnail and hit post. And I can't post it until I have the thumbnail made, and I forgot to make the thumbnail.
I'm just thinking it's funny he called us out on this one, but not the one that was gone for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
like,
that's
Cameron,
right.
It's not there. And you're like, it's there. It was not there.
Yep. Thank you for joining us, friends, for Month Door. 1 more week.
We're 75% through.
One more week.
One more week.
One way out. As always, thank you to Caleb Jacoby for our intro and outro music. Props to Rachel for... What is it you do again? What do you do around here?
Well, I update our artwork every year, once
a year,
and I run the Twitter sometimes.
Thanks to Rachel for actually a great reaction. Caleb and I in our group chat had a disagreement about the ending of the last arc, and she just responded me when the family is arguing, and it's Mort from Madagascar crying. Thank you to Athena for editing. Give us something to read on the pod. Let us know how Month Thor's going for you. How did you feel about Cyril's death?
Megan, we're so sorry.
What, tag yourself. Who are you in Andor? I think Rachel and I are the 2 technicians who are willfully being bad at our job. That's who we are.
Cameron and Rachel signing off saying, "And this is the monster that we've created, Emperor Athena."
The monster that's coming for us all.
Coming for us all.